All right, welcome in. Happy Thursday. It is Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you today. Good morning, everybody. Back from another night of local basketball that saw bad beats, last-second shots, missed free throws, missed opportunities. And a close loss, everything in between.
And the most talked about ankle injury since like Taylor Martinez.
Whoa. Great topic. What is
I wanted to text you this last night, and then I was like, do I have enough for you to make it a poll question?
We have to come up with some options, right?
Yeah,
like in order to make it a poll question.
Right. So I would say,
or you could just say, is this the most talked about ankle injury since Taylor Martinez? Yes or no?
That too. But there's also Adrian in there, had his ankle injuries at various times, but it doesn't feel like it's at the level of what,
Adrian had too many injuries for me to pinpoint one injury. And more notably the jaw.
Was his first injury the one suffered in Colorado? That was an ankle injury, I guess.
Knee, I believe.
Was that knee?
Yes.
They
twisted him, yeah.
I remember that.
Those dirty bucks.
I remember that. Yeah. So, and by the time the ankle injuries popped up that I can remember was like 2021.
And Tater was a foot, right? A foot injury. Yeah. Because didn't he have weren't they calling it turf toe? But it was something far more disgusting than that.
Could have been. I mean, he had multiple different ones.
That's true.
His freshman year when he was missing time or he was limited, it was an ankle injury, like the first one, 2010. Yeah.
Yes,
that's where right. The redshirt freshman Taylor Martinez, redshirt freshman Braden Frager.
There we go.
Big season handshake meme.
Yes, and it was a very explosive time for Taylor Martinez too. Because nobody really thought badly of him yet. And it was really at that time that his career
fatigue had not set in yet.
Exactly.
On Taylor Martinez, as it comes for anyone around here that starts for multiple years at quarterback.
As I always say about Nebraska quarterbacks, you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yes.
And that's been the case with literally every single one of them, with the possible exception of Casey Thompson in 2022.
Which is incredible for reasons that we don't need to dive into, but, that's neither here nor there. Finishing your career of a win against Iowa can do many, many things.
Wonders. It really works. They should try it more.
Frankly, the last quarterback to finish his career of a win against Iowa was Casey Thompson.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
So
weird.
That sounds horrible when you say it out loud.
Anyway, good morning, everybody. And so we will react to those local basketball games last night. Plenty to come on that front. Also, so we'll talk about the most talked about ankle in the state of Nebraska and see. I don't expect us to get any updates on the show. We're talking, of course, about Braden Frager and in his ankle. I thought about this yesterday, and I wanted to, because I figured we'd be talking today. Nebraska's 19-0, although they did not win against the spread last night. It'd
be pretty rough if you were feeling pretty good at about the 3-minute to go mark.
Well, I mean, that was I didn't watch Van Pelt last night, but I figure that made the bad beats.
Yeah.
Or it will make the bad beats at some point. It was pretty rough. But I was thinking about it yesterday and just sort of how Nebraska projects right now. And so I just pulled the last few years of 1 seeds and resumes and 2 seeds and resumes, and we'll take a look. We'll see where Nebraska. We'll see where Nebraska lines up against them. Creighton. We'll talk about them as well. Another home game. Another time in which they snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Somehow, some way, despite all of it, and Jason Green going down. And we'll talk about it as we go on throughout the show in just a few minutes here. Also, some bigger picture things. I have a question. We were talking about the running backs yesterday with I think both of our guests. Did Emmett Johnson's breakout season complicate things?
Yeah.
Okay. Ruminate.
I think that it did.
Okay.
Not in like a bad way, just sort of in how you would feel about certain things.
We will talk about it. And maybe it clouds people's vision at least a little bit. And of course, we have another installment of college athletic programs think they can get away with anything and probably can. We are going to have a player with an NBA contract basically play in college basketball very, very soon.
Meanwhile, we have sympathetic Ole Miss fans as judges in Mississippi with Trinidad Chambliss making that decision yesterday.
Yeah, so I didn't follow up to the end of that. Did he get it? Was he granted?
He's granted an injunction. So
he got the injunction. Okay. Yeah. Well, when does his case get heard? You would think at some point
will before it ultimately has to matter.
Not before the next 9 months.
Who knows? They can just kick it around the system forever.
Like the thing why it works in basketball right now is they could get injunctions and be on the court tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like in football, I mean, the season just ended, so I don't know. We'll see about that one. Elsewhere today on the show, our guest lineup is as follows. Regularly, we will speak with Brian Christopherson at 8:30, Max Olson from ESPN coming up at 9:15, and another added guest today, our dear friend Parker Gabriel will join us at 8:00 because the Denver Broncos are in the AFC. Jarrett Stidham are in the AFC Championship game. And I don't know, and they're probably gonna win.
Are they probably going to win?
I don't know. I'm thinking that they might win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not chalking this up as a guaranteed win for the Patriots. I don't know that I would say probably.
Interesting. I guess I hadn't really even checked the spread yet. New England's a 4.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know that I feel like that's too much.
Just based on what we've seen in this playoffs, anything over 3 feels like too much at this juncture.
Right.
So unless
you're the Seahawks and the 49ers.
And you've got an oblique riddled, everyone thinks you're no good quarterback, and he just shows up and does his job.
He definitely was just doing his job. He definitely wasn't doing anything more than that.
Didn't need to.
No, he did not. His team got a kick return in the first play of the game.
And he never trailed.
He didn't even take the field until like 9:30 to go.
Yeah, it was great.
All right. And then the other championship game, the NFC championship game, we will get a fun one between Seattle and LA. Plenty on that today and tomorrow. That is our lineup, powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We want to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You could call or text that number. Tweet at Happer and Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer, at Joe Arcola on Twitter. Send us those tweets throughout the show today. Email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us in the comments today. And we will acknowledge those throughout the show. We will say we love you throughout the show as long as you're there, which is great. 6 o'clock hour is so fun to me because we could kind of just I don't get the sense that, like, I don't know. Are people out at 6 o'clock in the morning? I'm not sure.
Some are.
We could just kind of do whatever we want at 6 o'clock. My dear friend, Brett Kane, who works in Denver, coincidentally, we're just talking about Denver. He does a show where he has co-hosts from 7 to 10, and the 6 o'clock hour is by himself. And so he could kind of just, spread out, talk about whatever it is. But
I can't imagine that Brett just sort of, veers too far off of the path of just a straight and narrow.
Oh, really? You can't?
It's hard for me to imagine such a thing from Brett.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk to Brett at some point as well. And maybe we should talk to him during the 6 o'clock hour.
For him, like he trades off, we get him 6 o'clock, and which is 5 for him.
Which would be 5 for him. We could just get him on his way to the office. Yeah.
Can our shows talk to each other? It'd be our 7 a.m., his 6.
We could probably make that happen. Yeah, with the technology, I'm sure exists to make that happen. So yeah, maybe we could just talk to other morning shows out there, like we're all aliens passing in the night.
We just call the segment ham radio.
Yeah, right.
Hey, what time is it over at your place?
Exactly, something like that. Anything's possible. All right, that's what we have coming up on the show today. We are pleased that you have decided to join us on this fine Thursday. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Debo writes in on YouTube, I did not feel appreciated on Upper Bowl Appreciation Night. Hashtag rant gong. Well, some people did. Some people did. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to everybody in the Upper Bowl on Upper Bowl Appreciation Night. But don't get us wrong, we did appreciate, and we do currently appreciate the Upper Bowl on Upper Bowl Appreciation Night. And we appreciate them every game, even though it's hard for me to get up and down and up and down and up and down every single time. But it's always good to see the people. And if the Section 220 boys happen to be listening this morning, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't come over and see you. We're moving. We're moving very quickly throughout the game. I got my steps in significantly last night, and but shout out to the Section 220 boys as always. Let's should we do Creighton first or Nebraska first? Either way, they're getting talked about back-to-back segments.
Yeah, let's go Creighton first.
All right, let's go Creighton first. How did this happen last night? One-eyed Pat Driscoll was involved. It was great to see one-eyed Pat Driscoll.
He was there.
Oh, one-eyed
the other day.
Pat Driscoll.
And another assumptive call. This time, one-eyed Pat Driscoll used his bad eye on that one.
Do you think he's heard that call?
I don't.
You think Pat Driscoll just avoids all media?
Well, I mean, it would have to find him. It would have to get back to him.
There has to be a way someone's like, oh man, I know Pat Driscoll. I need to let him know.
Like maybe if he Twitter searched his name, it would say there would be a bunch of people quoting John.
You should probably not.
Twitter search your name. No,
not gonna go well for you.
No, he was involved in last night's proceedings here in Omaha, and Creighton once again snags victory from the jaws of defeat. They basically buzzer beated Xavier, although there was still 0.6 seconds left after SWARTZ makes the ridiculous bank shot. At which point Xavier threw it all the way down to the floor, and the guy put it, probably a foot off the rim. It was
terrific pass.
It was incredible. And I'm usually very anti-baseball pass, like just throw it up there and see what happens. But that thing came in hot, and it was just about perfect. And Xavier almost got it. Had so many opportunities late in the game to win or to at least, kind of pull even. Josh Dix missed a key free throw. Josh Dix missed a layup that would have tied the game that I thought was, certainly had the angle to do it. And then you get all the way down to that last play. And, SWARTZ talked about it a little bit after the game, but, they get the ball, finally get a rebound. There's probably 10, 11 seconds on the clock. He's still in the backcourt. He is still not crossed the timeline yet. He's sort of slow playing it. He said to John afterwards that it was kind of by design. He intimated that it was by design. He's a really, really smart guy, and kind of slow played the defender, put on the Jets, threw it up at the rim, drew the foul, made the first free throw, biffed the second one, chases down the offensive rebound, and banks it. From my angle across on the other baseline, it didn't look like that difficult of a shot. Obviously, it was hard for him to get the rebound and retain the basketball. It didn't look like that difficult of a shot. And then I walked out there after the game, and I took a picture of it last night, and it was a really, really, really difficult angle to bank a shot in like that. Almost as hard as Stephen Ashworth at Villanova last year, but that one's probably still going to be. Yeah, that once again, a kiss from God or something like that. I'm not sure how those shots go in, but 2 home games in a row where Creighton just, by the hair on their chinny chin stays alive. It would have been back-breaking losses in both cases.
Yeah, and credit to them for figuring out how to do it. Credit to Austin Schwartz. You missed a free throw, the wherewithal in that situation to, immediately get over there. It's a loose ball scrum, get it. And then to be able to have enough space to even get that shot off and everything else. At that point, you're just trying to get the ball up in the air towards the rim. Whatever happens after that.
That's what he said.
Happens.
Yeah.
And for Creighton, it was a season-saving win doesn't feel like it's too too much hyperbole.
I don't think so. No, I mean, that's what I was thinking on the last shot when SWARTZ missed it. I'm like, well, there it goes, or the 14 possessions where Creighton couldn't get a stop late in the game, and they made everything.
Their defense.
Well, it's going to be really, really difficult if you have to spend any time without Jason Green.
Yeah.
And so we have an ankle that we have to talk about today, and we have a shoulder that we have to talk about.
And he's been kind of dealing with that one.
Yeah.
He's basically kind of playing down one shoulder for most of when he has been playing.
He's been a month.
He's got a little bit of everything going on right now. He's pretty beat up. So Creighton finally gets like a weekend off here, and maybe he's back at the end of that. We'll see. Here is our dear friend John Bishop on the call last night for the sequence that led to the game winner from Austin SWARTZ.
Deep breath. Righty, 2 dribbles. Free throw up. No good. No good. Ball loose on the floor. Schwartz gets it. Puts up the floor. It's in. It's good. It's good. Oh, my. Are they going to count it? Hold on. Are they going to count it?
The basket's good, John. They're wanting to know if there's more time on the clock.
Austin SWARTZ got the miss. And from the baseline, banked the shot in. 94-93. They're going to check the monitor to see if A, it counts, and B, how much time is left. How did he do it?
How did he do it?
So good. So good.
It went on for a very long time. There was a little bit of an equipment glitch in the middle, so that's why it was that long. But it was basically John going off like that while standing up. You can see him.
Every time anything happens in one of those games, I'm usually like in the direct opposite corner from him. And I turn to him every single time just to see what he's doing. And he's almost always standing up and his face is beet red because he's just screaming.
Have they ever considered doing like as a in-game entertainment, the Bishop cam?
I would love that.
Just like you have a little tiny camera pointed at him at all times, and then you can flip to that up on the scoreboard on the video arena.
The Creighton creative team, they did a little video like where they had a camera on him the entire game back way early in the non-con season. I think you got to get him somehow. You got to get him for one of these.
Yeah, this is when you want him,
or one where he's just absolutely berating refs or something like that. And then so after the game, Austin SWARTZ comes out and was sort of trying to go back through the Rolodex in his head of how it went. And, really it's a positive result. It goes in and you win the basketball game. And so you remember it very positively. We showed him the clip. He hadn't seen it yet. And here is how he reacted live on the air.
All right, well, let's get your live reaction. Connor's got the phone out, and he is showing you the end of the game.
Tough. Yeah, it looks worse than how it felt.
It looked great from our vantage point.
That's why I was a little surprised when you said, "Oh, I felt good coming out of my hand." I said, "Really?"
Yeah, honestly, it really did. But that doesn't look as good as I thought it was. So honestly, Coach Mack might have been right. We threw up a prayer at the end.
He just exhaled, blew into the microphone. Basically,
hey, it counts.
It does count. It does count, and it went in, and because of it, Creighton's season is still alive at the moment. However, there are some other things going on. Just like another team down the road, they lost a very, very important player to injury. Like I said, if they have to go any time without Jason Green, I think what you probably have to say is, hey, look, we're going to score 100 points and we're going to hope the other team scores 99, Like if you're, I don't even know if this group is capable of that. Obviously, they scored 94 last night.
Well, yeah, and it's doing it without someone who also scores for you.
Exactly, too. Yeah.
And you kind of run a portion of your offense.
It's so crazy because Jason is already playing, like he's already underqualified to be playing what basically amounts to the Ryan Kalkbrenner position. He's playing a drop 5 for the majority of the time, which is unbelievable. He's 6'8", and he's like, but he's creative and he's crafty on the defensive end, and he walls up and he holds his ground really, really well. And so he'd settled into that for all of the, without Freeman and the Conan thing has kind of been up and down, and you've had guys in and out of the lineup. Like Jason has been steady. They put him at the 5 and it's worked so far this year. And he at least impedes big men's path, on their way to the basket. If he's not out there, last night, Trey Carroll went for 29, and they were trying to get it to him in the post because he was red hot late in the game. And he was fronted by Josh Dix. Josh Dix was on him. Like, that's not
what you want.
That's their situation. Yeah. Owen was sick last night. And, they even said after the game, like Mac even said after the game, it would have been a great game for him to play. And, obviously it was. But they get good minutes from other people. And then they find a way offensively and finally get one stop. I'll have to check and see how many of their last probably 15 possessions they scored on. It I'm sure wasn't less than 13. I mean, they were getting whatever they wanted. And when they didn't, they got an offensive rebound and kicked it out and made it 3. Ugh. It is ridiculous. So where is it at right now? I don't know. I keep telling people, whether it's at the games or on this radio show, we are literally in a one game at a time situation at this moment. And they don't play until Tuesday when they go on the road and play what's likely the worst team in the Big East in Marquette. Not that it's like, I can't guarantee you that Creighton's going to win that game, but then they come home and play UConn on Saturday for the Pink Out game, which is obviously, got a big circle around it. If you could somehow get healthy over these next couple games, I don't know. But I would just advise people, like, they're 12-8, 6-3. And I did the whole waxing poetic thing yesterday. I sort of had a rant a little bit about how this season is, it's sort of been a nightmare season, but it's really not been that bad. It's obviously been bad for Creighton standards. And they're in a situation where it's just going to be one game at a time. Can they find their way to 13-7 or something like that in the conference? And that would get you to 19 wins at that point. It's probably still not an NCAA tournament resume, but they're 6-3 right now, and they're in the mix. And the more that they win these games by the skin of their teeth, the better chance they're going to have to be there at the end of the year.
Yeah, it is kind of remarkable since coming back from Christmas. It's just been win-loss throughout the Big East here.
Yep.
So haven't been able to kind of find the consistency, but haven't also allowed one loss to turn into 2, which is just as big.
Schaefer, I mean, you could look at it this way too. Yes, they won these Georgetown and Xavier games in like seemingly incredibly lucky ways. Didn't feel like they were ever going to beat St. John's. They beat Villanova close somehow. They blew the Seton Hall game. Yep. They were up by 16 with a few minutes left. They blew the Providence game because of their lack of like. There's a world where if those other two things break right, we're in a much, much different conversation right now. There's also a world we're in a different conversation the opposite way.
Yeah,
where they could have dropped these.
Yeah,
they could have lost to Georgetown at home. They could have lost to Xavier at home, and each of those would be back-breaking losses. They beat Butler the same way. I guess they had to kind of hold them off a little bit late, but like that's what I'm saying. It's just going to be one game at a time.
Yeah, razor thin margins.
A YouTube comment from our dear friend Sindelar. No McAndrew, Green, JTT, Freeman, Dmitrievich, and they still somehow won a game. I'm not really sure how, but they did, and they are still alive at least point. So once again, they're back in action on Tuesday on the road at Marquette. TN,
you would be here for that game. That will be.
I'm just saying, you and just tell the schedule 8:30 tip off.
There's some Jays fans
Yeah, I would think
Who
so.
has to get up real early to talk on the radio?
Definitely. Like I mean, that we go past if we go past 10, like we're on borrowed time at that point, and that game won't end until like 10:40.
The good news is you get the Peacock 6:00 start of Nebraska Michigan doubleheader that day.
That is great. So they'll just flip roles. I don't know why it's 8:30 instead of 8, but whatever. Speaking of Nebraska basketball, we will talk about them and the most talked about ankle in the state.
I think since Taylor Martinez.
I think you're probably right.
I think that's the correct answer here.
We will get with them as they improved to 19-0 last night. After this on 1620 The Zone. Some basketball junkies help us potentially answer this. I was gonna ask Pat Driscoll as he came off last night, but he seemed frustrated by a variety of different things. But what happens if you throw the ball from an out of bounds and it doesn't hit a person first, but it hits the rim or it hits the backboard?
AI says,
okay. Hello. Let's talk about AI.
AI knows.
AI definitely knows.
AI has never been wrong. I might as well ask Grope. That's how,
I don't know which one's worse.
An inbounds pass can hit the rim and remain a legal live ball as long as it does not go directly into the basket.
Okay.
It is a legal play if the ball hits the rim and stays in play. It only becomes a turnover if the ball is thrown directly into the basket or hits the back of the backboard, as in the other side. Like
the top or the back.
So
Gotcha.
my thought on it was that it would still be legal because the ball is not technically live until it's touched by someone. So it couldn't be a turnover. So as soon as it hits off of the rim and touches someone, that's when the clock starts and that's when the ball is live.
Sure. Yeah. I guess so. Either way, if
people haven't seen it, Bishop has the video.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Padilla took the video, or
Padilla had one. Yeah, Padilla had one, and then the broadcast one. They didn't have like a great angle on it, but
it was close.
It was. I was concerned. It was concerning. Let's take a phone call here on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Morning, old man Doug. How are you?
Good. I've got the old man tape.
Oh, let's hear it.
If Patches O'Houlihan was watching this game, he would have come up to the bench and said, "That's the worst damn display of defense I've ever seen."
It was bad. It was rough.
I get it that Jason Green is injured, but that has nothing to do with keeping the person in front of you, bending your knees, and making them pull up for a jump shot instead of a layup. Honestly, I mean, but they won the game. I get it. And I had a nice chat with Frank Caliendo yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever brought him to the game, he was sitting there by himself on the thing, so I went up and talked to him for 5 minutes. My wife was telling him, "Oh, he doesn't want to talk to you," but he was a great guy. Took a selfie with him, and I asked him to practice. I wanted him to do Paul Feinbaum. I think that would be a good stick for him. But lastly, this is my even bigger old man take, is I really like Trey Taylor and what he's doing and everything, but why can't he play for a Lincoln school if he's going to live in Lincoln? This super team stuff, and then I read also where 2 people are transferring in to Millard North that don't live in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And we're making high school football now college football. We're making college football now NFL. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Play with your friends, play with your neighborhood, play in your school district. And all this, I mean, it's not that he needs to get exposure for a scholarship, so have him play for one of the Lincoln teams. He's moving to Lincoln. He lives in Lincoln. I don't know. Am I too old manish on this?
Oh, I actually tend to, thank you for the call, Doug. Appreciate it. I tend to generally agree with what you're saying. Not that there's a particular difference between him living in, playing in Lincoln or playing in Omaha, or I'm sorry, going to school in Lincoln or going to school in Omaha. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yes, I was Caliendo's chauffeur last night when he showed up, because I had to take him over to Jay's Live, and then I got him to his courtside seat, and I was like, "Here you go," and then I just left him. Apparently, he was just sitting by himself,
waiting for old man Doug to come up
and get some selfies.
Maybe he'll be able to do an old man Doug impersonation the next time that he comes on.
There you go. That's a good one.
That could be a good one.
I wonder if he did the Feinbaum.
As for the Trey Taylor thing, I mean, I definitely get where Doug is coming from with it. I had similar feelings when IMG kind of exploded to what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it to me is just the sort of loss for the community when these guys leave, because high school football is so valued, and not every community, but certain communities. And, it's just, I don't understand why this is necessary. Now, in Trey's case, he feels like being in Lincoln gives him a chance to be as prepared as possible to compete for the starting quarterback job in 2027. So what are you going to do in that regard? I do think it's kind of tricky to tweet that you're going to live in one location and plan to play in the other.
That's the part that has
I don't know,
sparked
like
some
if you're
fires here.
The NSAA, it's like, well,
okay.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So we'll see how this all plays out. And if there's still some T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted, or however that's phrased.
Yeah.
As it comes to this for Millard South, but it sure feels like we have another year in which it's going to be Millard South quite a bit above the rest of the field in Class A.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Which is not fun for, I think, Class A football or football in general here in the state.
No, and we'll see. I think they're probably going to play a lot of teams that aren't from the state of Nebraska. Would be my guess next year. But once again, we'll get to that a little bit in the 7:00 hour. Nebraska ball. We told you that we would talk about Nebraska ball, so here we are. Ankles, not good.
Very valuable to have them.
I agree, especially if you're a player like Braden Frager who uses them quite frequently.
Yeah.
He jumps with them.
So, like, I know you probably weren't able to watch it as it happened.
No, not as it happened, but I saw it.
You saw the replay.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that thing go down.
Yeah, I did. I like off face, obviously he limped it off. Like he kept playing for a little while. Off face, I just thought, he kind of rolled his ankle. And also, I do think we have whenever someone sees a boot, they react horribly to it. They say, "Oh my God, it's a boot. His foot is broken and the season is over." They do the boot for precautionary and like protective reasons a lot of the time. Keep it stable and keep weight off of it because you're less likely to walk on it when you have the giant big boot on. So like I wouldn't overanalyze that. I'm not a doctor, but Fred said it last night. Like this is not going to be a season-ending thing. It's just how do we manage, and how does the swelling come down and things like that.
Yeah, so as it happened, immediately like watched him get up and just like his body language was not great during any of that. In part because you could tell he couldn't really run. There felt like there was no really sort of attempt to cut or move on it. Naturally, as this has to happen, then there's like a 4-minute stretch where there's no stoppage and anything. Fred, I think, called the timeout because they finally just like
I've
had
seen
to get
enough.
him off the court. That's not what he told Andy Katz in the interview or whatever.
Thank you, Andy Katz.
I don't know. Like it kind of felt like people sort of missed it as it happened. Like he went down awkwardly, but I know people in the arena were not particularly aware of it. And then he's gone, comes back. You have the shots with him and Connor Essegian, and they don't look great because he's got the towel over his head. And
I don't know.
So there's a lot of we just don't know. From what little sourcing I put together last night with people who know things, doesn't sound like the severity is that bad.
No.
So we could be just talking about a couple weeks and not, a month plus if it was a really high, high grade, high ankle sprain.
I mean, I wouldn't. I would imagine that he's probably not going to go on Saturday with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't look for him
turnaround
against Minnesota. I'm guessing he's probably not going to go against Michigan either. I think maybe the hope is you could have him back for the Illinois game here. That'd be about 10 days or so.
Yeah, next Sunday.
You'd love to have him back for that stretch of Michigan, Illinois, Purdue. Obviously, they're not going to rush it either. I mean, that's the other thing.
Why would you? You've created yourself this perfect amount of wiggle room.
And, you want to keep the undefeated streak and you want to keep all of that. But, this team has shown an ability to fight through adversity, and we'll see if they can get some more minutes out of Garcia and Jacobson to make up for this. It'd sure be nice if you had, Oogie could play a little bit more.
Oogie.
Because he was brought here to play and not just sort of sit as what feels like it's in between a healthy scratch and minor ailment.
The thing is with Frager, like it's hard to
you can't replicate what he does.
Exactly.
So
you could try to recreate him in the aggregate kind of Moneyball Braden Frager a little bit, but like the addition of him to this team, like as a plus, right, as like an added piece, that is something that only he possesses the skill set to do. Like Kale's got some of it, right? And Garcia's got a little bit of like the other stuff. But it just doesn't, it's not the same.
No, and there's nobody that has his combination of sort of confidence to let it fly, and then his confidence to get to the hole. I mean, so one, you already have a team where you don't really have a ton of guys that are just going to take you off the dribble and finish at the rim the way that he can.
That's that guy.
And then he's also very capable of heating up beyond the arc. So you're just going to have to try to do it in different ways, but it's certainly not as bad as I feared. And certainly with the broadcast shots and just how sad he looked in the in the immediacy of it. But again, just a little that I have gleaned so far doesn't seem like we're looking at a super long term.
That wasn't my impression last night, and everything that I've heard since would make me believe that it won't be a significant amount of time. But I guess the question is this then: what if you do go? What if you do have to go any length of time without him? What does that mean? I think the key thing is it just lowers your ceiling a little bit. I'm not talking about for the season, but I'm talking about for in these individual games, just because of his playmaking ability and stuff like that. So you're, like you said, Schaefer, you're really going to want him for Michigan and Purdue and Illinois, because those are the games where you sort of need him the most. You need the playmaking the most. Outside, I mean, can Nebraska still win without him? Yeah, of course they can. It just is like, it lessens your opportunity to have these big explosive offensive games.
And actually, where I think it hurts Nebraska the most and where we've seen him kind of come on really strong is sort of in the back half of the game, late in the second half. He closed out Ohio State. I think he had a great stretch against Indiana. He had the explosion against Oregon. So, I mean, he's a guy that maybe it doesn't show up as much in the first half, but certainly when it's later in games and you need someone who can go off the dribble and finish, if you're not just able to continue to pile up 3-pointers and play with casual brutality, which they did.
They really did. I mean,
night.
it was so workmanlike again.
Yeah.
Like it was the same thing. You're up by 8, or you're kind of holding them off for a little while, and then it's 10, and then it's 15, and then it's 18. And you're like, oh, okay. That's the way it's going to go.
There was a stretch where Washington had felt like they were clawing back in. The Frager shots, it didn't feel good. And then immediately Sanford 3-pointer, defensive stop, rink mass 3-pointer, timeout. And it's like, oh, yeah, we're back to doing this again. 16-point game.
That's the Ken Pom win probability after let's just say after like the first media timeout. The highest it was for Washington was under 12%. So like now some of that is baked into the equation that Nebraska is better than Washington, and they were at home, and so it was going to be a really, really difficult thing to come back. That is immediately when Nebraska's 13-2 run came in the first half starting with about 10 minutes to go in the first half. And then it was a steady beat down from there.
It felt like a game, though, by the end of it, where you were just happy to be done with that.
I think so.
Because Sam Hoiberg got nicked up a little bit. They were talking on the broadcast. He had a wrap around his leg when he was sitting out, ready to come back into the game. He didn't look as explosive late in the second half, just moving. Berke took the shot to the chest and then was running around holding his chest for a good 2-minute stretch, but then I think was ultimately fine. Like they're in that point of the season. You're now 8-0 here in conference play. You played 19 games. Like you're in nobody's 100%.
Yeah.
Your legs are tired. You maximize your off days. You got to take advantage of having these 2 days here before you go to Minnesota. You got to grind that out, and then you get 2 days before you go to Michigan. So it is a very much, pack the lunch and get to work and grind it out.
Which is what I said, weeks ago, in how important it was that Nebraska
all these wins.
Yes. I mean, not only for your NCAA tournament resume and like all those different things, and to get the ranking up high, and obviously being undefeated is just the cherry on top, I think, at this point. But like there's gonna be a point where you're not playing your best basketball. And Nebraska got some really good teams right out of the gate in Big Ten play, going on the road at Illinois and winning that game, and then beating Michigan State at home early when Nebraska, I think, I'm not saying that their best days are behind them, but they were playing really good basketball like for the last 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's basically since the calendar hit December and all the marquee games, they played their best. And then even when they haven't been, you think about the Ohio State game, I thought last night it was far from like their best, but it's just a workmanlike. They just make other teams struggle so much to just do things.
It's hard to breathe against them.
And then, you get these sort of onslaughts of here's a Sanford 3 and there's a Bearcade putback and here's a Hoiberg 3. And suddenly, it's an 8-2 run in a matter of 4 possessions. And they just kind of overwhelm you. They had a long stretch. I think they went 3.5 minutes without scoring, at one point, and then just 3 straight possessions where they score. Like it's just they play in flurries in a way that we're not used to seeing with Nebraska.
Well, the defense
basketball.
is so consistent that you can go into droughts and it's not quite as impactful.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder without Frager if the upside offensively comes down a little bit, if they're able to just withstand things defensively, if they're playing more games in the 60s. And the other thing to remember in this stretch, how many games in a row have they won by double digits?
1, 2, 3, just 3. They beat Indiana by 6.
And then Ohio State by like 5.
3. Michigan State by 2, and then New Hampshire and North Dakota, you smashed Illinois by 3, Wisconsin by 30, Creighton by 20.
But I guess the point that I was sort of trying to get at is the last 3 games you've just won by double digits. Like it's and they should have covered last night. It would have been 3 straight.
Yeah, don't take it for granted.
It would have been 5 straight covers in a row. 6,
especially the Northwestern one on the road. Like just a casual 20-point win on the road. Not something been able.
I would happily sign me up for that for Saturday right now.
Yeah, right. And so that's when they get back at it on Saturday. And if they do make it, we'll throw a 20-0 parade. And Nebraska.
What kind of parade does that look like?
I don't know. It'll be really cool, though.
Will it be one of those parades at 72nd and Dodge?
No, nobody will be in protest of this, Joey. That's what they do at 72nd and Dodge these days.
But people famously celebrated Nebraska winning the 95 national championship.
Oh, you're talking about the olden time.
Okay, you did know that was a thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was just making sure. Yeah, just making sure.
When the crossroads signs, light bulbs worked a little bit more. They worked a little bit more. So Saturday, Nebraska shoots for 20-0 at the Barn in
weird building,
Minnesota. Very weird building.
Not a great spot to go watch basketball. The lighting is odd. The Minnesota nice passive aggressive was high the one time I went.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have an elevated court.
Yeah,
they have the elevated court. Step up to it. It's very, very weird
exit
that way.
Going out like it feels like you're going out an apartment fire escape because you exit off the side of the building going down these things.
Yeah, like the tight stairways.
In the dead of winter. Just
in Minnesota.
A bizarre place. But there'll be, I think, a fair amount of Nebraska fans that are going to be there. I know there's going to be a lot of Nebraska media.
Oh, definitely.
It's
an easy drive,
besides Iowa City here in February.
Later on, we'll take a look at, as I said, I pulled some 1s and 2s, some seeds, 1s and 2 seeds over the last few years, and looking at their resumes and, just dreaming a little bit, just taking a look and projecting it forward for Nebraska basketball.
What is the lowest right now today was January 22nd?
Yep.
January 22nd, we are AM morning radio at 6:56 a.m.
Timestamp.
What is the lowest seed Nebraska could conceivably get to you?
Great question. Because
right now there's
the least amount of games I could see them winning is probably like 25.
Whoa.
They're 19-0.
I get it.
They have 12 games left.
I get it. But
like that's going 6-6 over the last 12.
I know, but just think about that sentence you just said out loud.
The least amount of games I could see them winning is 25.
Which would be the most regular season wins of all time.
I has to be, I'm sure. So what is that? That's like
that's 25-6.
But that's like worst case scenario 4, right?
I don't think they're a 4 if they go 25-6.
Yeah, right. So a 3, maybe a 2.
So are they at the point where the lowest you could conceivably see them is at a 3?
I mean,
For me, it's probably a 4 because I think that they could. There's a world where they go like 4-8 in the final 12. I don't think it happens.
Oh, I don't know about that. That is not a world that exists.
I think it's a world that exists.
All right. Okay. So perfect. Let's talk about that a little bit later on in the show. We'll certainly make room for that. Stay tuned. We are an hour down in the Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. George Thorogood and the Destroyers with Marshall Tucker Band are in the Metro this spring, as announced here on this show just a couple days ago. It would be Sunday, May 17th at the Astro. Pre-sale tickets are on sale today at 10 a.m. Excuse me. When you use the pre-sale code ZONE, ZONE, and they'll go on sale to the general public on Friday, which is tomorrow. On Sportsline Conduct, we'll have your chance to win your way in, likely today on their show. Once again, use that pre-sale code ZONE if you want to go to George Thorogood coming up in May. That is this morning at 10. Got a text here, Schaefer, from the 515.
Is it about something that I had said that I now wish to unsay?
Yes, you immediately wanted to recant your statement as we
Yeah, I
went to
started
break.
going through it, but I'll take my medicine.
Here it is. There's a world where they go 4-8. This might not go the way you think it's going to go. There's a world where they finish worse than that and have a bleeping one and done loss in the Northwestern or against Northwestern or Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament. We've bleeping lived that world for generations. 4-8 is damn near the best case scenario until proven otherwise. Now that is a ridiculous text.
Yeah, I was going through it with you off air and was thinking about it. And I really think 6-6 is closer to the.
That's what I said. I just theorized it. And I'm like, yeah,
well, I was trying
6-6 feels like the worst.
I was trying to figure out the most likely way to get to 8 losses, and I could get to 5. And then after that, it's like they have to start dropping games to teams that they've really thoroughly taken care of.
So you play in the Ken Palm rankings. Let's just do it this way. Every game you play is against a top 100 team. 100. Remember, Nebraska's like number 12. 100, except for Penn State, Maryland, and Rutgers. So let's just automatically give them Penn State, Maryland, and Rutgers.
So 3.
You have reached 3.
Yep.
Without even blinking, right? You play Minnesota on Saturday, who's the next worst team you're going to play. You have Northwestern back at home, who you already smashed on the road.
Right.
Maybe you're not willing to give them Minnesota. I'm willing to give them Northwestern.
So that's 4.
You've reached 4. And then the next most likely win would be Iowa.
I think
at home.
They have 2 against Iowa.
They split,
right?
yeah.
So I think they split those.
So you have reached 5.
Yeah. And that's with giving the Minnesota loss.
Yes. And then the other games are Michigan, Illinois, Purdue.
All conceivable losses.
And then the 2 West Coast games at USC and UCLA.
I think
conceivable losses, but not both of them probably.
Yeah.
So that's where you get your 6.
Yeah.
Like that's as bad as I could see it.
Without, knowing health-wise, whatever happens.
Sure. Now, and to be clear, like I have, don't yell at me. I'm just using my past experience to inform my thought process here. I remember a team, just a team, that once lost its best player on this exact week of the season. It was Martin Luther King Day. They were 17-1 at the time. They were ranked in the top 10 or whatever it was. That team finished, just unnamed team. They finished 23-8, went to the conference final, lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament by an upset. I don't like talking about these things, but I'm using my past experience to inform this radio show. And
I 6 and 7 down the stretch.
I've talked to many people in that fan base who did not like that. That was not fun for them. So yes, to respond to the texter's text, it is possible. I do think we have to break the conventional Nebraska ball fatalism thinking with this team. But yeah, there's a lot of the season. The basketball season doesn't really start until February. Nebraska has positioned themselves better than they've positioned themselves in any other season ever. All right, this is it's unbelievable what they've done so far. But yeah, you do have to stand up to the fire in February and in March.
Yeah, and we will find out a lot about what they are capable of doing, over these next handful of games here. I mean, you go up to Minnesota, you win. Not even it's weird to say that you're shorthanded, but you're not necessarily shorthanded even without Frager.
No, there's enough there.
I mean, the great thing about this team is you're built in such a way that you have all of these different guys that at any given night can help you. And if Sanford is going to play like he has been, Nebraska is going to be tough.
Yeah, and if the offense, I could see a world where they go up there and the offense gets really stagnant, and people are like, "Oh, they could really use Frager right now," and then they lose or they win by a point or something like that, and then we'll talk about the Frager thing even more. But once again, we just mapped out like a worst case scenario that ended up with Nebraska winning 25 bleeping games.
And to reiterate, from all indications, the severity of this was not as bad as it could have been. Certainly not a season ending, and it doesn't sound like it's a 5-6 week, even a month thing.
No.
So the hope is maybe 2 weeks.
So with that being said, I did do a little bit of a study on 1 and 2 seeds just to see what we're looking at here for Nebraska. I mean, it's still early. Like I said, there's a lot of basketball left to be played, but at the same time, I mean, they have put themselves in a really, really, really good position. So last year, our 1 seeds were Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn. Duke went 28-3, 19-1 conference, attainable for Nebraska. Houston went 27-4, 19-1. Florida went 27-4, 14-4 in the self-proclaimed best conference ever. Auburn went 27-4, 15-3 in the self-proclaimed best conference ever. The 2s last year, and this is where you get into like where I think if you did like a spray chart of most likely seed, it's probably 2 for me at this point, because I think Nebraska will probably end up looking a little bit like this. Tennessee went 25-6 last year. Alabama went 24-7. Michigan State went 26-5. That's 5 more losses for Nebraska. And St. John's went 27-4. And keep in mind, Nebraska would have the wins, right? It's not like they're a mid-major who's coming to this thing undefeated, and it's like, we'll put them at a 6 because...
I mean, they already have more quad 1 wins than the teams that are comparably fighting for the 1 seed right now.
And that's why I'm looking at records. That's why I'm looking at straight-up records. Like, I could tell you who they beat, and obviously those teams were really impressive, and they're big basketball schools and whatever, but the resume is going to end up looking similar, especially if Nebraska ends up with 4 losses or something like that. 2024, UConn went 28-3, Houston 28-3, Purdue 28-3, North Carolina 25-6 were the ones that year. Tennessee 24-7, Arizona 24-7, Marquette 23-8, and Iowa State 24-7. Once again, that's inching toward.
It really feels if they go 8-4 in their final amount here, the 1 seed would be on the table.
It's a possibility.
27-4, the 1 seed is on the table. You see how you do in the conference tournament and all of that. I don't think that matters. Just the way that they've talked about it in recent years, like a team like Nebraska would already largely be slotted in before they even tip off on the Friday that they play.
Right.
The conference tournament week.
Right.
So I don't even know if those wins would factor in at all.
And by the way, those records that I just mentioned, those are regular season records. Those are those are pre-conference tournament. Conference tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they were getting to 31, so that was kind of the giveaway for me.
2023, the ones were Houston 29-2, Alabama 26-5, Purdue 26-5. Remember that was the year that Purdue lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. Kansas went 25-6. That year, 13-5 in the Big 12. The 2s were UCLA, Texas, Marquette, and Arizona, which went 27-4, 23-8, 25-6, and 25-6. So there's the difference. We're talking about 2 games, basically. And if Nebraska ends up at the top end, that 1 seed is a real conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
hard for me to see them below a 3.
We'll see.
Now that I look at it even closer. I mean, I said 4 before, but hard for me to see them below a 3.
Well, just because they've done the heavy lifting, and then we'll know a lot about this team as we get into next week and you get into the game against Michigan and you finish against Illinois. I mean, it is next week is like peak fever dream Nebraska basketball fan. Like back-to-back ranked matchups, one on the road, one at the home. You're still, if you get through Minnesota, you're still undefeated. There's a good chance you're a 5. You're number 5 in the. If they're 20-0, they would have to move up a couple spots at that point.
I would think so.
Like at some point,
I so much wish that Michigan game would be at home, though.
Oh yeah, I mean
that would be an absolute
can
ridiculous.
You imagine?
I mean, that would be absurd.
I would need to leave at 12. 204th Street would be insane. The interstate would be insane. The pre-gaming for that, no one would be working Tuesday afternoon. It'd just be incredible.
Yeah, you'd probably have to shut the thing down at that point. And remember, Nebraska has blasted good Michigan teams at home before.
Oh.
If you remember back in the day, that was
Mo
a fun
Wagner.
Wagner.
Destroying
Wagner.
Like 2 air balls in that game.
That was great.
That was the last feel-good moment of that season.
And then remember, that team lost to that team, Michigan, in the conference tournament.
Yep.
And, it ended up the way it ended up.
They were a 5 seed in the NIT for
they should not have
amazing reason.
For the record, they should not have been. I'll never forget going over there that night on selection show night, and Miles came out after they had learned their fate, and I think the NIT bracket was like there before we talked to him, and he was like, it looked like he had been hit by a truck or like told some like horribly life-altering news or something like that.
The conspiracy,
like, we're going on the road to play in Starkville in the NIT, and we just won 23 games or whatever it was.
We were a top 4 seed in the Big Ten. We didn't get in the tournament. Okay, we at least get a home game, right? It's a Natalie Portman meme or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. Good one.
So the conspiracy theory from that one is that Barry Collier was the one who was running the NIT that year. Stuck it to Nebraska by sticking them in Starkville.
I hadn't heard the 2018 NIT conspiracies.
Yeah, they were out there.
That's good. By the way, texture from the 515, it was like, hey, he's thinking very Nebraska ball ish. In this case, he says, it's not at all ridiculous. We've seen it every year, guys, until they prove otherwise. I don't know how to explain this. This team does not carry the burden of Nebraska ball's past whatever. They don't. The only burden that they carry is the pressure that they put on themselves to finally win that one NCAA tournament game. Like that is what's there. But they're not sitting there thinking like, oh, we're Nebraska ball. Everything is going to fall off the tracks because that's what we do as a program. This team is not like that. And if you think that is that even a remote possibility, you haven't watched them play. You haven't listened to them talk, and you clearly don't you don't see what everyone else sees, which is this team's extreme confidence.
I mean, prior to Frager going down, there was just a moment in the first half. So obviously, there's just this moment going on where you're like, they're a machine.
They don't care.
They're just a total machine.
They don't have thoughts that are going on in their brain. It's like Indiana football. They just are like, all right, execute. That's it.
I hope they're like Indiana football.
They are. That's
and we look up.
That's the comp.
One shining moment, and you're staying up late to watch it. Nebraska is just one. Are we going to have a reaction show if Nebraska plays for the national title? I would hope where the location of the game is, to be honest.
Is it in Indy this year, the Final Four?
I think that's right.
I think it is.
Yeah, we'll probably have to put something together for that. Zach writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox, Connor at 1620thezone.com. I made the comparison to that team, that just a random team who was 17-1 and lost.
You compared them to the Creighton team that lost their.
No, I just said a team. It was just.
You didn't compare them. You just stated as a historical reference.
Thank you, Schaefer. It was just a historical reference. Zach emails this. He says that comp is not apples to apples. Frager isn't Nebraska's best player. Nebraska has so much around him with Mass, Hoiberg, Berkay, Sanford, Lawrence. I mean, I guess we're identifying that team now. I mean, that Creighton team had a lot of stuff around.
The hood is off. It's Creighton.
Oh my God, can you believe it? Like, and I agree. Frager isn't Nebraska's best or most important player. Where Maurice Watson.
Where would
was.
you slot him in? Rank the players.
Most important or best?
You can pick. You can blend.
I think they're different rankings. I think they're different rankings.
You can go most important.
Sam.
Interesting. That's your one.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, for me, it's probably Sanford and then Mass, but I really want to go Mass and Sanford. But that's my one too.
I think they're all right.
I can't separate from that.
They're all right in the same category.
It's hard to. The thing about this team is it's hard to like pull one of those guys away and then be like, yeah, but how much does this guy also help that guy, which helps the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Frager is just that he can attack the rim in a way that I don't know that anybody else can.
Yes, he does. He does something that's different. So I don't think Frager. You're right, Zach. Frager is not comparable to Maurice Watson in this situation, considering. But they had some other guys around him. Man, they had 2 NBA players on the roster, and then a bucket getter and Marcus Foster. So like, they were pretty good too. And then the season sort of changed a little bit when that happened. But this is not that either, because I don't think Frager's going to miss real time here. Like I think we're talking about like a couple games max. That's what it seems like.
I would bet more than a couple games, but it's not. I feel better than I did basically as it was going on last night. Like when he first went down and his body language before he even went to the back when he was still on the court, I just was like pit of my stomach. Like this is awful. And comes back. Didn't love the
hugging and the praying.
Yeah, the immediate shots and all of it. Fred's post game, like not the one with Andy Katz. And Fred is really tough to read. He doesn't really give you anything ever. But I couldn't tell if he was.
I actually don't think he knew. I
right.
Like
I couldn't. Well, I think he had at least a knowledge of what they figured out from the back, but I think he was more annoyed by the 6 points that were given up and how badly they played in the final 3 minutes.
How they got bad.
And like that was all over his face. But if you wanted to read it, like, oh man, it just seemed like this isn't great. You could have, but I think it had a lot more to do with how that game finished. And it wasn't representative of what they wanted. That's kind of what it sounded like at halftime too when they came out of it.
Remember the text that we had yesterday with Signetti and his daughter? I think we could kind of repeat that with Fred. Are you happy? No. Coach, Dad, you're 19-0.
We just need to get one of the Hoiberg, or I can't even say Hoiberg now. One of the children that's not Sam to come on and reveal whether Fred's ever happy.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I've seen him be very happy in a non-basketball.
He is a very laid back and happy guy, but when your team gives up 6 points and only wins by 10 instead of 16, then we got a problem. Kent writes in on Twitter at Connor Happer. He says, guys, as fans, we expect a letdown. Decade after decade of letdowns in football and basketball has us not trusting anything. Really, this is the first time I have heard this sentiment with this team. I just thought everybody felt really good and was confident. Is this not true? Are you waiting for the rug to get pulled on this?
I think a lot of people are in this weird, like, hey, I just want to know that they get the win in March. And, then I can kind of let myself.
There's no guarantees, though. Right. But like when you put, like I said, if you put yourself in this position where you win 25, 26, 27 games, it's going to make it less possible that the rug gets pulled.
No, I agree.
So, like, I haven't seen anything in this team that would lead me to believe that like they're high in their own supply or they're like whatever. Like, no, I don't see that coming.
The weirder one to me is, and you see it, we've seen it in the YouTube chat. I've seen it certainly on Twitter or other places, but the comparison to volleyball, and it's like, this is very different. Like Nebraska basketball and Nebraska volleyball could not have come from wildly different angles. Nebraska volleyball, the expectation is they're playing in a national championship every year.
Yeah.
No matter what.
So does it come from like, you think this is fool's gold? Like you think this team actually isn't very good?
It's more so there's this like sort of leftover feeling from volleyball that like we thought it was going to be blank. but it turned out to be another, coming up short thing.
Hmm.
And then you also have they need to get a loss to get it out of the way, which I don't think is a real thing.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think Nebraska's in a better position to win in March if they would have lost last night than, winning again and being 19-0.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about this. They're fine. They're fine. Maybe the Frager thing last night just like kind of, scared you. It's like when somebody calls you and says, "I have bad news," but the news actually isn't that bad, but your heart still sinks. You're like, "I have bad news." Like, you don't want to get that call. You don't want to watch that happen, but everything's fine.
13 straight losses to end the year. Are they in Dayton or in the tournament?
I think Nebraska is a lock for the NCAA tournament.
Wow. Now that is fun.
Maybe one more. Get to 20.
Okay.
Get to 20. Very close. We're almost cinched up on the
20 and
territory.
12. You're saying lock.
2012, Nebraska's in the NCAA tournament.
Wow. Just nuts.
But in a more likely scenario, they're 25-6 and they go to, the Big Ten tournament and win a game or two there, and they'll definitely win an NCAA tournament game.
See, this is what people don't like.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert with you this morning on a Thursday, 7:28. Hopefully you're in we don't have the window open. Is the sun out yet? It's hard for me to tell. The window is closed. Let's see how the traffic is moving along Dodge Street. Steady traffic along Dodge Street on this chilly Thursday. So we're heading into the dead
That
of
made me
winter.
feel like I was hoisting a flag.
If I have
Open it up.
If I have access to the window, I'd be doing my old job, giving the morning traffic reports.
Maybe we should just, make you do one right
Is
here,
that
right now.
something we should consider?
What's-
Joey's traffic?
Joey's traffic, but only at the exact point of the NRG media sign,
Colbert's
50th and Dodge.
traffic report?
Colbert's traffic report. Colbert's traffic report. Yeah, I think we got some options.
We have
We have some very interesting utilizations of Joey if we ever get the chance to. So we'll got some plans.
a man
there.
of schedules, a man of traffic, a man of weather,
Schedules.
He is a man of many, many talents. That's for sure.
No,
a graphic maker.
Now I'm making a new Big Ten schedule because they have to release one game.
Threw his whole schedule off.
It did.
Oh yeah.
It did.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll get back to that at some point. Remember,
That-
they're not going to release their schedule until Tuesday, and at that point, who knows?
I'll probably get something ready by Monday.
Okay.
I got a weekend to do some stuff.
All right, good. We'll take a look at that point.
So Joey's spending his weekend.
So there's a lot going
Be a
on
few hours to do.
in
It would.
college. I think we're just going to tie this sort of all into one here.
Should we get the rant gong ready?
It kind of is a rant. Yeah, go ahead and just smack it.
I went on a Saban rant yesterday. by
You
the way.
did?
Yeah.
On a podcast?
Yeah.
On the internet?
Yeah.
What did you say about Saban?
Nothing complimentary.
Why?
I'm
don't think he's
tired
funny?
of his shtick. I'm tired of the whole thing. I'm tired of him trying to gaslight people into Alabama. Was this program that was built on hard work and pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. They did it
I
the right
kind of
way.
lost it. I think I'm going to institute a no Saban talk on for me on the future. It gets to a bad place.
We don't talk about Saban.
He was a topic, and I didn't say much because I knew if I did, it was gonna venture into
rant
But
territory.
I weaved it back into then being, immediately having a rant about the Alabama center and Chambliss. I'm so tired of this, and I know it makes me sound like an old man yelling at a cloud, but you can't be in college forever.
Thank you.
And you absolutely should not be allowed back when you forewent multiple years of eligibility with
Thank
your
you.
own decision.
What about, okay, so here's where we're at. College athletic programs. This is not everybody. Not everybody is taking advantage of these new things that they can do, lawsuits and whatever. So this isn't everybody. But generally, college athletic programs think they can get away with anything. And right now, it's been proven that they probably can. We have professional athletes going back to college and playing college basketball. We have people suing for more eligibility all over the place, even though they have no grounds to do so. We have high school quarterbacks moving to the area of the college to play their senior
That's not
years of
that
high
new.
school. I know it's not that new, but it's all encompassing. We have millions of dollars being spent on frivolous things, buyouts, facilities, analysts, overinflated coaching staffs. What is going on in college sports right now? We have reached the point of, I don't know, somebody said this a million times, I'm sure. We've reached the point of no return. They could do whatever they want because it's such big business, and somebody told them that, once upon a time they said, hey, if we have a successful football program, then it's really, really good for our university. And then they go all out to have successful football programs. And that means everything. But maybe this is another place where Indiana can give us hope. Not that they don't have some of these things and not that they don't do some of these things, because they got to play the game just like everybody else. But maybe the time could arrive where people could look at a team like Indiana with very few of the above things and say, yeah, maybe we're doing too much. Maybe we're thinking about the wrong stuff. And also, who the hell is in charge here? Who is in charge of how much eligibility anybody gets? This sport needs this sport and this landscape needs way more parameters. It's just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff at this point. And that's, I think, why we've led to this point where there's a new thing that happens every day that we're like, oh, wow, I guess you could do that, huh? There's no parameters, and we're just doing stuff because everybody, like, the heart and soul and the core of college sports, but specifically college football, has always been finding edges. Where do we find an edge? And there's no limit to the edge that people think they can find. There's no limit to this.
Yeah.
And it's just how much money you want to spend. And there's obviously no limit to that anymore. At least back in the day, sorry, old man, at least back in the day, there was this thing there was this buzzer and this alarm that went off in people's brains that said, do we really need to spend $8 million on a football coach? Do we really need to spend $5 million on a?
I mean, some of that.
Do we really need to spend $1 million on a football coach?
Some of that is just keeping up with the amount of how much
Of course,
more money.
Of course, I'll be the first person to tell you, like, Nebraska needs to spend and this team needs to spend and all those different things. Like, it wouldn't be enough for one team to take a stand. And that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for more parameters here, and that we do not have.
Yeah, and I don't know where they're going to come from, because they're not going to come from Indy. They're not going to come from the NCAA, because they can't set them, because the court system will just keep knocking them down and declaring whatever it is that they want to declare. So then they have to come from Congress, which is not exactly a super exciting thought, because
those guys are no fun.
The last thing that I want, or I'm pretty sure anybody really wants, is Congress A, spending time on this, and then B, Congress spending time on this, because it's not going to go well. I mean, the biggest problem here is that you have a subset of people where the question isn't, how can we protect what we have? How do we make sure that this continues to be what we want it to be? It becomes a question of, well, what's the best for me? So you have coaches that otherwise will say many, many things about how they hate this and how awful it is to try to work through these things, and then go and bend any possible rule that they can. Like, Nate Oates knows that this is terrible.
Of course.
Basketball.
Of course.
But is it stopping him?
But Charles Bediako is going to play on Saturday.
He's like, hey, you know what? This isn't good for us. We don't need it.
It's not that it's not, like, once again, it's not good for basketball to have professional athletes come back. But, like, we used to think on this, man, you're taking away a spot from a guy who's just trying to develop and play college basketball and have an awesome experience. This guy's a pro, and he's coming back to play college basketball. That's not the way we think anymore. Our brains are not trained to think that way anymore.
I know it's too reductive.
And that's where that's where the Trey Taylor thing comes into play. Like, I don't know if it was just, if it would have been just some kid who would have been the Millard South quarterback this year, but this has Nebraska's fingerprints on it, right? He's moving to Nebraska to be miles away from Nebraska, and he's going to be the quarterback at a random Nebraska high school. And I know it's not random, but, like, that's where the connection comes into play. That's why I threw him in the category.
I don't think Matt Rule or Nebraska remotely asked for him to do this.
I hope not.
Because I don't, like, to start with, there was a time, and there's still, you talk to different coaches, and maybe it's harder to say this on the record, but you talk to different coaches, at least not in front of a recorder, they don't all love early enrollees. There's a lot that comes with that. And there was a time where, Bo Pelini didn't necessarily want guys enrolling early, and Mike Riley too, because you would get the occasional Chase Rome where it's like, does not go well for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're
not prepared to be in college.
They're not mature enough mentally to handle the grind. They're not mature enough physically to handle it. There's something to be said about if you come in, and this is way back when, but if you came in sort of by yourself, you're not really part of the previous freshman class, and you're not really part of the next one. So I would, and Matt Rule's kind of said things to this regard too. Then, he wants these guys to be the best versions of themselves and to go and enjoy their high school experience. There's just so much pressure. And now with NIL, you can start the finances as soon as you get here in January.
Yep.
So there's that aspect of it too. I think a lot of this is Trey is doing whatever he can do to give himself the best chance to be a starting quarterback in 2027. I mean, he keeps referring to this as a redshirt year where he's not even in college because he wants to be around the program as much as possible.
So weird.
So the thing of it that I find bizarre is that he's transferring to Millard South and living in Lincoln.
I know. That's
just
a whole nother
announcing
set.
it publicly. Yeah. And the NSA has to respond to that on some level.
Mm-hmm.
The NSAA. Sometimes I just say NSA.
Yeah.
As if it's the national.
Same
security.
thing. I do that with the NCAA.
Just the national security is gonna check in on this.
The NCAA changed it a couple of years ago where they wanted people to say NCAA instead of NCAA.
Yeah.
So I sometimes just say NCAA.
NCAA.
It's like the MAC, But
so
anyway.
Yeah, there's just a lot that you don't love. And then at the same time, and I used to just say this all the time, and I still feel it, but it's so much harder this time of year when the games are happening, when teams are playing.
It's fine.
We don't think about
I don't
this
think
stuff.
about it.
The quality of the product still remains pretty good. There's things inside of it.
I will say though,
yeah,
Schaefer, like it is becoming harder though. It is becoming harder to not think about, like Diego Pavia when I watch Diego Pavia,
No, well, and then right now you have players added as the season is going on.
Right.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
The thing that happened at Baylor, absurd. The thing that's happening at Alabama, absurd. At least with Trinidad Chambliss, that's happening after the season and you get the injunction and you're given a guideline of it. But yeah, it's just I don't love where this is going because I don't know where the bottom of it actually is.
I know. There is no end. There is no end.
We're past the point of no return. And I get that. Like, we're not going back to ever what it was. But the thing is, I just want to get to wherever we're going so we aren't just endlessly plunging. It's,
people are going to continue to try and find edges. As long as college athletics exists, there will be someone who's trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
And then someone which that's their thing. They're looking out for themselves because we, a long time ago, not me and you, but us collectively, we made this a business. We made this a business. And when you make it a business, then all of a sudden, everyone's looking out for themselves.
Right.
They're trying to win. Right. And like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be trying to win because that's their job and that's what they're paid big money to do. But that's where we started the ball rolling on this entire thing. And there's no end.
And the largest problem is there's no entity that can rein it.
Correct.
So, unlike,
nobody is there to provide any sort of guidance.
Where you have in the 2010s, all of these teams that are employing technology to attempt to cheat, you at least get a Major League Baseball commissioner that comes through and says, hey, this will not stand. This is what has to happen. And then the Astros happen and he can rule with the swift fist. In football and basketball, you have, the NBA, the MLB, you have an overarching thing. You used to have that in college and then it got dismantled. And now we all are wondering who did this.
We're all trying to find out.
And it's the court systems. It's the people that enable the court systems. It's the attorney generals in these states. It's the coaches themselves who speak out of both sides of their mouth, which they've always done. And then they cry about how difficult it is to win and to do any of these things and to manage it. And it's like you were holding this fragile thing. And instead of thinking, how can we keep this as we have it? I'm going to smash it for myself and hope that I get away with what I want because it's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I still reserve the right to complain about how this is bad for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Nate Oates will probably be quoted at some point in the next couple of years like, yeah, I think it's crazy how this is all happening, but
And he knows what he's doing.
I know.
So frustrating.
Platcat wrote in from before. He says, it is no, he says Nate Oates has no soul, so he might not actually know. He might not actually know what he's doing.
Does he have no soul?
He's kind of one of those. He's kind of one of those guy, sleazy kind of guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were talking about hair color or what?
No, No, he's got fine hair.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm getting at.
I do. He's not a redhead.
Okay.
That there's other ways that could lead you to having no soul. Are you in the would you technically be a no soul person?
I don't know because
a red beard?
my hair color is brown. It used to be blonde, then it became brown. My beard is like
It's pretty
red.
Yeah, it's pretty red.
So I don't know.
Cody writes in on the text line. He says, "You guys need to change your name of the show to Two Grumpy Old Guys in the Morning, or you could go by Get Off My Lawn in the Morning." Thoughts?
Don't hate it.
I like Happer and Schaefer, but that would be a good descriptor, I think, of what we're talking about right now.
In this specific instance.
Yeah, we for the record, we are not discouraged. Like I still like watching the sports, and I get excited about the sports. I love when your team wins on a buzzer beater. Like, it's all great.
Was it a buzzer beater?
Kind of. I mean, it did beat the buzzer, but no, I think a buzzer beater has to be when the
Did
clock
I
hits
imagine-
zero.
Did we have this conversation? Did I hear this conversation elsewhere?
I don't think so. I don't know if I've ever opined on this publicly, but I believe a buzzer beater is when the clock hits zero while the ball is in the air.
All right.
So it was not a buzzer beater, technically.
Yeah. I think I'm like, if it's inside of 1 second, I'm willing to call it a buzzer.
Interesting.
I'm expanding.
Yeah, I guess the clock the clock went off, but obviously they had to put 0.6 back on last night. So I don't know. Maybe you could probably convince me the other way, but I say no as of right now. We could argue about that for a long, long time. All right, let's take a break. Parker Gabriel is going to join us at the top of the hour to talk Denver Broncos in the NFL playoffs. But first, we will ask if Schaefer would like to click on any links. Coming up on 1620 The Zone. Hey, don't forget next Friday, the 30th, we will have our annual Pink Out broadcast from the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge. That will be from 10 to 6. So Matt, Josh, and then Josh, John, and Nick will all be out there. I'll be stopping by after this show. Mac, Flan are both going to stop by in front of the Pink Out game on Saturday with Creighton and UConn. Of course, the women already played their Pink Out game, but stop by and donate for the paper supply drive to help raise awareness and support for the Hope Lodge Omaha, which is at 8030 Farnham, right off of Dodge there. Join the fight against cancer and help us at our Pink Out broadcast on Friday, a week from tomorrow. All right, we got links. I am curious what Schaefer is. Are we looking at some more animals today, Joey?
No,
what do we got?
I was assuming you were going to ask that question. No animals this time.
Wow.
What
First.
a shock. What a shock.
First time ever. All right, so what are we talking about?
All righty. One of the stories is Good Samaritan returns 1966 Crete High School class ring found in New Jersey.
Wow, Crete High School. That's
And
a local story, Schaefer. What do you think? He's interested.
I am interested. Let's hear what the second headline is.
The second one is out of Missouri. Springfield man charged with burglary after eating pulled pork.
Okay, we're going with the pulled pork. There's no question we're going. I was going to make a joke about how I miss the animals, but both of these were pretty good. The pulled pork wins every time.
This is a short story I got from ky3.com, but a Springfield man is accused of breaking into a Walnut Grove home after eating pulled pork. The guy's name is Josh Peacock. He's jailed on the burglary charge. A woman says she woke up on December 31st to find her back door open and an empty container of pulled pork on the counter. She told police the container was full and in the refrigerator the night before. The woman also found a backpack on the porch that contained identification leading officers to Peacock.
Oh man, that guy made a mistake.
And that's pretty much the story.
Okay, so he broke into this house, ate a thing of pulled pork,
You can
and
see his mugshot on the site.
also left his identification and then dipped. This is the worst burglar I've ever seen.
Yeah, if I'm stealing pulled pork, I'm not bringing my book bag.
The probable cause statement says a woman living in the home woke up to find her back door standing open and a container of pulled pork on the kitchen counter completely empty. The leftovers, she told officers, had been safely tucked inside the refrigerator when the couple went to bed. Curious and hungry for answers, the woman reviewed her home's surveillance footage. In the video, she told police showed a man sitting on the couple's porch late the previous night, apparently charging his phone before letting himself inside through the back door. He was inside the home for about 25 minutes while the homeowner slept. Then the footage showed the man eating pulled pork before exiting the residence.
Okay, so I have some questions. Do we know, was it just the pulled pork?
It seemed like he pulled the pulled pork out and, snacked for a little while and left it out.
Do you know how the pork was cooked?
I mean, it was in the refrigerator. It was leftovers, but I don't know. Like, was it smoked? Is that your question?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I hope it was good. This was
Did he add sauce to it? Did he get slices of bread?
So this is in the Ozarks. It's in Springfield.
Was it Jason Bateman?
Was it Jason
Marty
Bateman?
Bird? It was Marty Bird.
I don't think I ever finished that show.
I didn't either. I got to a certain point and I was like, I don't care.
It sort of
fizzled out.
It sort of annoyed me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of an annoying show.
I agree with that.
I'm surprised that we agree with that. Most people are like, I love Ozark. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. We should talk to Jake Sorensen about this tomorrow.
I catch a lot of flack because I'll point out that their ability to just drive 16 hours away and then get back exactly in time for whatever they need to seems to go against the concept of time.
Yeah.
And then I get
That's
told
a weird annoyance, but okay. I
get told to not think about things and just enjoy the show. And it's like, well, I can't really do that.
I can't remember. It's been so long now. I can't remember what specifically annoyed me about the show, but I remember thinking I don't really necessarily need to finish this.
Yeah.
But I think we're out on an island on that one. Anyway, the identifying pieces He left a backpack on the porch. An officer found the bag, described as black, white, and purple, containing several charging cords, a black lighter, and a teal phone case. Inside the backpack, police said, was a served order of protection listing Peacock as the respondent. Investigators compared photos associated with the court order to the home surveillance footage and said it did indeed match the description of the man who was entering and leaving the restaurant or the residence. He is currently being held in Greene County Jail at a $15,000 bond. Said his warrant served for his first arrest. If convicted, he faces up to 15 years in prison. Not once again, not necessarily for the breaking in part, but for the previous crime.
Oh,
They found basically a warrant in his backpack, which once again, we got like a triple whammy here.
yeah.
Really, really bad idea by this guy.
Go buy yourself some pulled pork and not steal it from someone else.
I would say this is a
Disaster! What a bad idea!
horrible idea.
If he would have just charged his phone, he could have gotten away with that.
Seriously, maybe that's
That's
what
when he
needed.
decided to enter the home and eat the pulled pork that things got weird.
It's always the pulled pork that gets you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Joey. Those are our headlines. 8:00 hour is coming up on the other side. I'm so excited to chat with Parker Gabriel from the Denver Post. Remember when he worked in Lincoln? Those were great times.
I do remember.
I
when he
miss
worked in
Parker. So anytime that we have an opportunity to catch up with Parker, we'll do so. And we'll do so in front of the Denver Broncos AFC Championship game. And we'll talk some more NFL with him. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Well, we figured we would finish out the triumvirate of people who have beards and have at one point talked about Nebraska football in their lives. And so we're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Parker Gabriel from the Denver Post. Good morning, Parker.
Good morning. There are only 3 men in history to have beards and talk about Nebraska athletics, and we are them.
I'm sure there are more identifying qualities that bring us all together, but those are the two most prominent, I think.
We did all.
You need your mic
We
on,
did
too.
all watch the Broncos Bills on
That's
Saturday.
true.
So that should count.
We watched it on TV.
That's
We were
true.
part of the 50 million people who did so.
And we're all also jolly fellows.
And we're also all jolly fellows. Okay. So we're racking up the list at this point. How much has the conversation, Parker, been this week in Denver about catch or no catch? I feel like that took over the first couple days, or catch or interception, I guess it would be. But then quickly, obviously, there was another storyline that popped up immediately after the game that was delivered by Sean Payton. Like, has there been any time spent on that part of it this week?
Almost none. I mean, here at least, obviously, most
Right.
Broncos fans, I think, would say interception, obviously. But honestly, yeah, it's been on the internet, and there's been some talk about it, I guess, a little bit. But as far as the Broncos go, it just is it's been all about the quarterback since Saturday night for obvious reasons. And it's funny on the interception, it's hard to tell live. It seems to me like it was an interception just based on the way that the rule about the catch was and about the explanations you've heard from officials. But if I were Buffalo, and especially if I was Sean McDermott and I got fired 2 days later, I would be – it obviously is a huge call in that moment. It's a tough one to make live. And I think had they ruled it a catch on the field, I don't know how that would have gotten overturned either. So it's one of those where it's I don't know that it's quite the Des Bryant situation, but obviously it was a big call and a controversial one.
Did you know, when did you know that something had happened with Bo Nix? Did you have eyes on it from the press box or anything when he kind of was hobbled after the last carry, or when did you get a sense that this was happening?
No, when Sean Payton walked back to the podium after.
That's so incredible.
Honestly, because for several reasons, and some of them, and I mean, you guys do this too, the reporting process is always kind of interesting and how you see things and what happens after games, at least to me. And I just tight deadline, right? We're rolling on deadline. I had sort of built my game story, was starting to around Jaquan McMillan. We had, my beat partner Luca was going to write sort of our sidebar about Bo Nix. And so Sean Payton talks, it's pandemonium after the game and you're trying to get down to the locker room. So I didn't actually see the shot of him, Sam Ellinger hugging him and him sort of looking like he was in pain. And then you work the locker room. I'm talking mostly to defensive guys. I didn't see Bo at his locker, but that's not all that uncommon. And then by the time I got out of the locker room when it closed, he hadn't talked yet, which was a little strange. But again, he's usually the last one to talk. So nothing about the post game was weird until Sean walked back into the news conference room in street clothes. And I looked up at him. I said, "What are you doing back in here?" And he looked down toward me and he said, "I just love you guys so much that I came back to do this again." And that was, then he just sort of blurted it out. And obviously it's sort of all hell broke loose from there.
Yeah. Okay. So to go back and not to dwell on the injury part, because there's a lot obviously to look forward to in this game and in this week, Parker, but so he was hurt on the rollout play where he ended up kind of going down by himself, stayed in for the throw that drew the pass interference. And then was it amplified by the kneel down, or that was when he kind of realized it? How did that process go for both him and sort of how, people inside the locker room remember it?
Yeah. And we haven't got a chance to talk to him, obviously, so I don't know for sure, but the best I can tell is on the broadcast, it's really hard to see the injury on the rollout, which I think is part of why it was so confusing. But there's an end zone version that I tweeted out, like a view from the back of it. It happens really fast, but you can see his foot get stuck in. He tried to leap around the safety, Cole Bishop, and his foot stuck in the ground just for a second. So you could see it happen there. I don't know that it got worse on the kneel down, but I think the kneel down just really hurt him because he sort of flexed that foot when he went down and he limped off. And then there's one quick shot of him he went over to the sideline after the kneel down, and Sean Payton told us that he like punched him in the chest and was excited and was like, "Let's go, man," or whatever. And Nick told him like, "Hey, listen, my ankle hurts." And Sean said his reaction was, "You'll be fine. Watch this field goal." And so Sean Payton, Davis Webb, the other quarterbacks, they knew that Nix was hurt, but they didn't know how bad it was. And then I think Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger like literally stood there in the X-ray room with him after the game, and Davis Webb did too. And they all sort of just waited around, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Yes, your ankle is broken. It's bad enough you have to have surgery. Like you're not going to be playing for a while."
Is that the craziest hour of your job that you've ever had?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. There's probably a couple. I mean, I was 3 weeks on the job in Lincoln and walking to lunch with my new boss when Sean Eichhorst got fired. I mean, that was crazy. The Akron night, like the first game of Brock's career that ever happened, that was crazy. But this was different. I mean, because 50 million people had just watched the game. It's the AFC Championship game. It's the biggest win in a decade, all of that. And then it just was like a lightning bolt, and the whole thing changed. So, yeah, I mean, it was nuts. I think overall, just given how great the game was, too, and what a nutty game it was, and then followed by that, I think I landed on it's probably the craziest, like, day I've had on the job.
Famously, you only cover super normal, newsworthy teams. So I do want to ask, like, what's the pathway for the Broncos winning against the Patriots on Sunday? Obviously, their defense really came to play against Josh Allen and the Bills, forced more turnovers than they really had been doing most of the season. The defense had been regarded all year as one of the best in football. So is it very much a thing where obviously you got to keep the Patriots point total down, but then do they have to be able to create offense too?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to score a little bit at least, Schaefer. And to me, I think it's one of those where, you know how like if a star player in the NBA gets hurt or your best pitcher gets hurt or whatever, there can be like a little short term. It hurts eventually, but in the short term, there's that sort of rally around the guy and you win the first game or whatever. Like, I think that's part of it. But the other part of it is like Broncos are good around Bo Nix, like especially on defense. And so the defense will have that approach of like, we can win this thing by ourselves. Now, obviously that's not entirely true, but I think there's no guarantee they're going to play great, but obviously they'll have that mindset of like, well, listen, if New England doesn't score, we'll be fine. And so that's part of it. And you got to be good on special teams, and then you've got to just find a way offensively. And this is not, oh man, they have nobody. Like, obviously it's a huge drop from Bo Nix to Jarrett Stidham, but I don't think they're going to change the plan and run it 38 times and all this stuff. Like, I think they're going to try to ball control it and, keep Stidham in decent positions. And, you can't have Jarrett Stidham out there in 3rd and 12 too often because like it's going to go downhill on you fast. So it's the classic, play good defense and special teams, try to stay ahead of the chains. And if Stidham doesn't turn the ball over, let's call it multiple times, like I think Denver will be in the game. Now, can they actually get over the hump and win? I don't know. It's hard to see that, but they have lived in weird, low-scoring, ugly games all year. Obviously, Bo Nix, big reason why they've won a bunch of those games, but like they've played in that game so many times that I just sort of think if they can get themselves into another one, who knows what happens.
Denver, what they lose with Bo Nix is some playmaking ability, especially in those situations that you mentioned when you're backed up a little bit. But what, is obviously it's not a trade you'd probably like to take here, but it appears like they're going to get J.K. Dobbins back, which could be a big boost. Like, I mean, I don't know. What does that situation look like to you? And could he be a factor in this game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly thinks he's going to play. I mean, we don't know that for sure yet. I mean, he had Lisfranc surgery on his foot like 2 months ago. So it just is sort of amazing that he's even in line to maybe play. And certainly like a healthy J.K. Dobbins changes this equation for the Broncos because they were really good running the football. They've got a great offensive line, one of the best in football. And they were one of the most efficient teams running the ball without a lot of Bo Nix in that equation the first 10 games of the season. Since Dobbins got hurt, they've not been very good running the ball. So there really is sort of like a black and white line there. The question I think, Hap, is just like, okay, yeah, maybe he plays, but does that mean he's getting 15 carries? Does that mean he's really, truly like all the way healthy? If all of those things were true, I think he can make a huge difference. I just don't. I think you just have to kind of see it to believe it. Like I wouldn't be shocked at this point if he practices all week, like that he tries to play. I just don't know what the role looks like. Is it 8 snaps? Is it 3 carries? Is it 12 carries? And but a healthy J.K. Dobbins, whether or not that's realistic, would be a big boost for the Broncos.
Obviously, all the key players are now gone, and you weren't around covering those games when they played. But is there any extra in this AFC Championship game because it is the Patriots, and these teams have a little bit of history?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think it's more than anything. I just think it's one of those where it's like it looks good, like the Patriots or the Chiefs have played in every AFC Championship game in the last 14 years, I think. So, which is
that is a disgusting.
Finally got the Chiefs out of it, and here's the Patriots again. Obviously, a much different era than it was. So, like in terms of the actual rivalry, I think it's more a fan thing. Like it'll feel right in some way, even though the Broncos haven't been there for a long time. I think to look out there and see the Broncos and the Patriots, but obviously, two franchises that are just in very different places than either, the last time either was in this game. And then also compounded by the fact that one team's playing without its quarterback and all that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be cold. I don't think it's going to snow, but it's going to be like 15 or 20 degrees at kickoff on Sunday. So it's going to actually feel like winter, and it's probably going to feel like a big game.
I was saying last weekend that I hope it, just because of the quarterback situation and all that stuff, we have two like defensive minded teams. If it does snow, it would almost feel perfect. It almost feel like, the Houston Patriots game a little bit, which I feel like is the kind of game that Denver wants to create, like you said. With that being said, Parker, is something we're going to talk about in a little bit. Drake May has been a little bit loose with the football, and Denver's defense has obviously been pretty good at being explosive, forcing turnovers, and just generally being a good defense. Like, how much is that a thought in this game to get the ball out of his hands and get it back to their offense where they could sit on it?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think that's really kind of the recipe for Denver's defense, right? I mean, the Broncos forced a fumble in week 1 against Tennessee in the fourth quarter on Tennessee's last play. And then they did not force another fumble until week 18. I mean, it was incredible. Like they had 68 sacks and they didn't get the ball out for a 16-game span. And then all of a sudden they've gone on this binge from in week 18 and then in the divisional round against Buffalo. Nick Bonito, obviously, terrific outside linebacker, has forced 3 fumbles from quarterbacks in their last 2 games alone. Drake May put it on the ground 4 times last weekend. Like, sometimes you look at these things and you're like, oh, it happened last week. It's a big story this week, and then it never materializes. But this is it's a season-long trend with Drake May to be loose with the ball, and it's a recent development that the Broncos are sort of on this turnover run. And when you line those things up, I mean, that really looks like, Denver's best path for sort of being in this thing.
As a Big Ten man, how do you feel about a world where Indiana wins a national championship and Nebraska's 19-0 in basketball?
It's very strange. Both. It's been great watching Well, it's actually really fun watching both recently. Like Signetti obviously is just like such a dude, and then it's great. It's cool to see Fred Hoiberg. Like that's a real squad. They're really good. Obviously, you guys don't need me to tell you that. I've watched them a couple times, not a ton so far. My brain usually turns to college basketball these days, like about now. So I'm a little behind, but it's been crazy. I was watching the end of the national championship game, and when Signetti said, we won the national championship at Indiana University, I just was thinking, like, man, this is one of those things that I just could never even have imagined was possible. Not just like, wow, it's surprising it happened, but like, how did they even get close to doing this, let alone actually pulling it off?
Unthinkable. Parker, have fun this weekend. Great to talk to you as always. Maybe a trip to the Super Bowl in your future, and definitely some more Fernando Mendoza in your life if you're interested in watching Indiana football. You'll get him twice next year.
There's nothing about the coming seasons in the AFC West that I'm more excited about than having Fernando Mendoza in the division. And also, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe there'll be a trip to the Super Bowl here in a couple weeks. Great talking with you guys.
Thanks, Parker. See ya.
Yep.
Parker Gabriel from the Denver Post. Check out his work there. He's been all over He's the best in the biz, man.
Yeah, that made me feel so good.
I love talking to Parker. It's so easy.
Yeah,
so easy. Parker. I don't know. Denver, I could see it.
I can too. Like I would not write them off. I have a much tougher time imagining them winning 2 in a row with Jarrett Stidham, but getting by a Patriots team that this is the best team they played all year in Denver. And they were coming off of, felt very fortunate that you played who you played, and CJ Stroud was absolutely garbage.
Horrible.
Or even just Woody Marks fumbling that football, washing away your ability to cut into things there at that point in time. So just a horrible game from the Texans, which you got to give credit to the Patriots for forcing those things or being in the spot to take advantage of them. But yeah, I think that's going to be a really close game. It's a coin flip for me at this point.
You had this written out in the something or nothing segment.
Yeah.
But the question that we asked Parker there at the end about Drake May being loose with the football. So
are we going into that now?
Yeah, let's do it. Because we got a couple minutes before we get to Sam. We could talk about some NFL here for a few. 14 fumbles.
Yeah.
For Drake May.
The most.
Some of it is weather. Like I get it. Especially in that last game. But I don't know. Denver's on this kind of hot turnover streak. Obviously, it's a really good and explosive defense. I think that is something personally.
I feel like Drake May gets hit a lot.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if that's because when he was a rookie, he got hit a ton, and I haven't separated that from my mind to this year. But even against games, like the Jets or whoever, it just feels like he just takes a lot of hits sometimes. Because I don't think New England has like a great offensive line. And one of the things we know about Denver is they are coming after your quarterback. Mm-hmm. And they can do it from the interior where they have 2 outstanding pass rushers, or Bonito or whatever, they cook up defensively. They can bring the secondary into it. But they are going to get after Drake May. And so he's got to get the ball out quickly. If he holds on to it, there will be a strip sack in this game. Like if he cannot get that ball out fast enough. And one of the biggest things.
With that defense, you might only need one too,
right.
And
that's the thing. The other thing is if you get the ball out too fast and you miss your spot and the defender is there, Denver puts you in a box in a lot of ways of how they can defend you when they're playing really, really well. Now, New England's offense has played well. They just haven't faced anything like this.
Right.
Like it's the best team they played all season.
I know it's very college football to say. Like at a certain point, I tend to think like, hey man, you're 14-3.
Yeah.
Like
I
don't really care anymore. But it's a factor when you think about the Broncos and how battle tested they are.
Right.
And now going into this situation where how they're going to have to play because they lost their quarterback. I'm not trying to make that be an advantage for them, but I know what they're trying to do.
They're going to shorten the game as much as possible, try to sit on the ball, try to, maximize possessions, and then put you in a box
and
when you're on offense.
New England, I mean,
it's not like they have a great running game that they can turn to either.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills at least had James Cook and even that resulted in the fumble.
It's amazing. Every time I look at this to just remind myself of who they played this year, like
It's worse every time.
it gets worse every time.
Yeah, no.
It gets
A
worse
lot
every
of
single
the
time.
Bears, it's similar, but the Bears played a tougher schedule by virtue of being in the NFC North versus the AFC East.
Some of these teams, they either caught at the right time or they were good wins at the time,
Well,
and they
think
don't
about it
look
this
like
way.
it now because they felt like the Bucks win.
They lost to the Raiders to start the year.
Yeah.
That's one of the Raiders' like 2 wins.
The Raiders always do that, though. It feels like they always win a game they're not supposed to in week 2, and it's like, well, what happened?
There's always like a couple NFL results.
Week 1 and week 2. Maybe that's it. Every year we've had a week 1 or week 2 result that we're like, what in the hell happened?
Well, the
in that
Patriots
game?
did it last year where they were terrible to Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Remember, it was the Bears Niners like monsoon game. The Bears won. I think it was week 1. The
Was it
Niners.
week 1?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was week 1.
Okay.
It was like a torrential downpour. People were sliding all over the place, and the Niners went to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl. I can't remember.
Well, they haven't won the Super Bowl since '94.
Oh, okay, so
they
no,
might
they
have
didn't win.
reached the Super
They
Bowl. then.
definitely reached the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some weird results in week 1. There's no question.
Yep. So I don't know. We'll talk about this game in a little bit more, with a little bit more time tomorrow when we preview both of them. And we haven't talked at all about Rams Seahawks, which is going to be, if it's anything like the last time they played, obviously.
Anything like the last time, get your popcorn ready. Just sit there and enjoy football that comes all the way down to the end with an inexplicable play or 3.
As we mentioned yesterday, this was back on Tuesday. This is going to be the highest combined DVOA game.
Yeah.
Like in playoff history since DVOA has been a thing, which I don't know if you care about analytics and stuff like that, but basically what it's saying is these are the best 2 teams to play each other in the playoffs in a long, long time.
Yep. Should be a good game.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Also at the same time, people forget the Rams did lose to the Falcons, so I don't know how, but whatever. DVOA likes them quite a lot. All right. We will take a timeout. Our dear friend Sam McEwen will join us. We'll talk about some Husker football with him.
I don't think we're talking to Sam McEwen.
Brian
Christopherson.
We talked to Sam yesterday.
I got to straighten out this days thing, man. When you do something for so long, like I don't even know why I said Sam, because we don't usually talk to Sam on Thursdays. Our dear friend,
that's all right.
Brian Christopherson.
Joey and I are here to keep you on the track.
I really appreciate that because I need it. Otherwise, I would have just said it, and then we would have came back, and BC would have been online, and people would have said, "This isn't Sam."
Short rest, Joey's keeping you in check, Connor.
Short rest, Joey. Thank you, Joey. You're on top of it. A quick reminder before we do get to Brian Christopherson that 1620 The Zone, we here at 1620 The Zone are giving away tickets to the UNO Mavs game on for Saturday against Colorado College. Matt will have those for you throughout the remainder of the week here. So make sure you listen to Matt so you can win your way into Omaha and Colorado College on Saturday at the Baxter. We'll be back with BC after this on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you on this Thursday. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. BC, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. You recovered from a late night tip at Pinnacle Bank Arena last night?
I only got like a couple hours of sleep, but you guys might be on the same wavelength as me, so I'm not going to complain about it or anything.
I was at a 6 o'clock game last night, so I'm good. I'm all right.
Oh, you're well rested.
Yeah.
Why are you why are you saying the wrong guys coming up as a guest? What's your excuse, Connor?
I don't. That is just my own stupidity. That's why. I take full and complete responsibility for it.
BT, were you up late celebrating the potential return of Brian Flores? Is that why you didn't get much sleep?
I did catch wind of that, but no, I wasn't celebrating. I'd be happy if that happened. I don't want to bore the listeners with Vikings talk.
Oh, they would love it.
Yeah. No, that I did see that pop up on the old timeline. I follow all the same guys you do, and so that was had some life in our little world on Twitter. But no, I was elbows deep in Husker basketball, and so I ended up going to bed at about 3.
Ooh, whoa, that is way deep in Nebraska basketball. Did you spend all that time thinking about what life might look like for at least a couple games without Braden Frager, or where did your mind wander?
I mean, I spent a little bit of time on it. It did sort of mute the vibe, I felt like, in the post-game room a little bit last night. I would say the guys, like Price Sanford and Jamarcus Lawrence, they're such veterans at this point in college basketball that they sort of have this belief in how they can carry on for a little while if he is out. But no doubt it's disappointing because Braden was was really starting to catch it to a different level, I thought, the last couple of weeks. Ever since the whole like Michigan State weekend, and then like how he followed that up, finishing games at Ohio State and Indiana, it was just like he was kind of moving up levels in the Tetris game of being a college basketball player. So that's where it's disappointing, is if it stalls for just a little bit. But if there's a guy who has the mindset to come back from a little time off and get back into it, it's him, because he's got a little something extra to him that's helped him succeed the way he has as a redshirt freshman.
I believe it was a third straight game of 20-plus points for Price Sanford. Is there a possibility that this is just kind of who he is? I mean, maybe not the 28 points against Oregon, and keeping in mind Oregon, Northwestern, Washington, but it looks so effortless from him sometimes. I mean, he's even driving in, nearly throwing down dunks on Washington last night.
Yeah, that was kind of a fun semi-dunk, whatever you want to call it, rattled around. But the ball's, I wrote this, the ball's listening to him right now. It's like, okay, I'll go in. He's the handler, and it says, I'll respect your wishes. I mean, he was 8 of 13 from the field, 4 of 7 from deep. I like the way, Hoiberg always talks about we've got to find Price in transition, and Jamarcus Lawrence has taken that responsibility, and he's locating Price at all chances, so that he's getting those opportunities to get some open looks, even though I would say teams are tugging his jersey, hugging him, bodying him, trying to do anything they can to slow him down. And I like the fact that he's just not letting that get in his head. He'll actually use it to his advantage, as we saw a few times last night, where if you look at the variety pack in how he scored, he had the 4 threes, but he had the dunk we mentioned, plus the and one, had a layup off a nice 2-man game with Burke, and he had a really tough mid-range jumper in there too, all based off of stuff he's doing where they are playing tight on him, but he can put the ball on the deck, and I think he is proven from the start to the point we're at now that he's more than just a stand around shooter, very much so. And he's now had 19 plus points in 10 games this year. So you have to say, I mean, he's been everything and more that you could have asked for as a transfer.
Schaefer and I had this discussion earlier, BC. what could happen down the stretch that you would qualify? Obviously, there's a worst case scenario for everything, but we were trying to figure out like the bottom of what could conceivably happen over the last 12 Big Ten games for Nebraska basketball, and I think we ended up Schaefer in the vicinity of like 25 wins still.
Yeah, that felt like that was the low end of things,
which is probably about a 2 seed, I would imagine. Like all of a sudden we snap our fingers here, Brian, and like, it's hard to imagine it getting much worse than that at this point. I guess where are you at on, what could transpire over the last few weeks here?
Yeah, I think as long as they stay relatively healthy from here on out, obviously we'll see what the Frager injury and the timeline is on that. What you're talking about that would be like going like 6-6 the rest of the way in a regular season. Yeah, I kind of would see that as sort of the bottom for this team, and I don't even. I'm not snarky about that. I've consistently been someone who like still sometimes views it as like this is a regular Big Ten season where you look at a schedule and you're like, hey, if you won 2 out of those 4 games in that stretch, you would take it and be pretty happy with it. And so I think we're going to learn a lot more about how this team deals with this specific set of adversity that they're facing now. If you're down one guy in a rotation that's sort of been 7 or 8, and you have to play really on short rest against Minnesota and then Michigan, then you got Illinois coming, and then Purdue by February 10th. So this is probably the danger zone in the schedule, but it's always been that way. And I'm to the point where I'm not going to just bet against this team meeting the moment. Like I know, maybe there was a thought last night. It wasn't as crisp as a couple of other games, but I mean, if they hit a 3, if Jamarcus Lawrence hits like an open 3 or so with like 2.5 minutes left, they're up like 19, 20 points in that game on a night where you lose your headliner freshman. The other freshman from Washington showed why he's like a Big Ten Freshman of the Year candidate and got his, and you still comfortably win. And so that's where I'm not going to just assume bad stuff's on the horizon, even though some of us have kind of been built up that way through years of Husker basketball. This team has kind of got me to look at it in a different way.
You don't want to lose anybody of the quality of Frager, but is there any way that you could see that it might help Nebraska to have this sort of adversity to kind of galvanize them as they go into this stretch, like the almost refocus them in a weird way ahead of the Minnesota game?
I mean, you do I think whenever you're inside the walls of a program and you have something like that happen, you got to look for things like you're talking about and say, all right, well, let's rally around each other. And this is a little obstacle, but people have kind of doubted us at points throughout this year, and we keep hitting it on the barrel of the bat. Let's go do it again. It's certainly an opportunity if you're like Jared Garcia or Cale Jacobson plays a lot anyway, but guys like that I think are going to have to be significant in their moments. And Jared's a good example of a guy on this team. We might not talk about him as much as 6 or 7 other guys, but he's maximized to me so far and sort of what I thought you could get out of him. But maybe there's something more there even, and it's an opportunity for him to maybe grab some more minutes and show that. And so, Saturday is going to be tough. It's such a quick turnaround with that early Saturday game. The Barn's always kind of a quirky gym and a tough place to play. It can be, especially if you let them get on a run. So it'll be interesting how they respond to this, but I kind of think they might go up there and play pretty decent basketball, kind of because of what you're speaking about, because I do think this team has a tough mental makeup like that.
Admittedly, BC, there's some landmines in this, but what is your thought on Trey Taylor playing his senior season at Millard South?
Yeah, I mean, I get the landmine part because I'm kind of old school, and it's a weird world right now. Like high school football just feels so different, and I can't say that I love all of it. I think from Trey's perspective, just I could see what he's after by doing this, and as he said, he's viewing it as like a redshirt season, like it, and I fully take him up on that because I think he's going to be around the program as much as he possibly can be, trying to learn what he can, obviously trying to keep peer recruiting. And if nothing else, I don't think people were really skeptical of this at all, but it should make Husker fans feel like one of the key things that has them excited for the future of Husker football, that he's in the neighborhood, that's kind of a pick me up in that way. So it's kind of one of those things that has layers to it, where the part of like how kids just move around now in high school and go to different states to play and stuff. Like it's sort of not what I grew up with, so I have trouble kind of adjusting to it and loving everything about it. And I know there's probably some people locally who don't as well.
Right.
That said, it is going to be, from my perspective, a fascinating story. I mean, I remember, guys, when Schaefer will recall this, like the COVID year, Heinrich Harburg was a commit, and there was no college football going on. Remember, at the beginning of that fall, they started the season late, and there's like 10 reporters around Heinrich Harburg, like doing it was like he was the quarterback at Nebraska already doing a post game after a Kearney Catholic game. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be that on steroids, I think, with Trey Taylor this fall on Thursdays and Friday nights. And so from a guy who's, I guess, now in what we call the content business, it doesn't hurt us. So I probably won't complain too loudly about it.
I think there's going to be plenty of content that comes out of Trey Taylor just by himself. I've been asking everybody about this all week long. Would be curious where you come down on it. Who is the player you are most surprised stuck with Nebraska during this transfer portal cycle?
That's a tough one, because I always hate to say a name, almost, because it's like I don't know that they're as close to thinking about it as sometimes the public imagines.
That's what everybody else is saying. The Nebraska media, very on point with not wanting to name specific names. I get it.
But it's an interesting thought. I mean, there's guys certainly, and even Rule has spoken about, guys that they're like excited to have back, and that maybe gives some insight into it. Or he had said, for instance, like Ja'Cory Barney is a name you think of like, I'm sure he had suitors. He'd be one player. I don't think it was like on edge or anything, but the biggest guy to get back to me was Pritchett, just because I thought, he's at such a money position at left tackle. I thought his growth was sort of really coming together at the end of last season. He was one of the bright spots. And so the fact that you could have him and Justin Evans, and then I think we have seen in the first month, I know not everything about the portal, like there's some questions about did they get enough in the defensive line, but on the O-line side, I like what Jeep Wade and Lonnie Teasley got done with the 3 additions, and I can see how that picture looks when you pair it with the guys returning in Pritchett and Evans. And so I would say those are the biggest returners to me. But yeah, like a guy like Barney, and then I would say Isaiah Hunter. I should say him too. Like he was so solid last year, and frankly won him a game or two by his explosive plays. It would have been a bummer if he weren't backing that up again this season.
All right, BC, we'll let you go. Get some sleep or get some rest at least. Good to talk as always. See you later.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, up until 3, thinking about Nebraska ball.
I want to know what live concert he had playing on YouTube that prevented him from going to bed earlier.
We should have asked.
Yeah, I know that's a habitual YouTube view for him. Every now and then you'll hear about like, oh man, I watched this set from Live Aid.
Amazing.
Or from whatever. And I'm just like, oh, that's not how I spend my time. But all right, I'm interested.
No, it's very different. very different.
He told me, I don't know if it was, I have to think about this. I don't know if it was Radiohead did a cover of Hook by Blues Traveler.
Okay.
Once, but there was just like a very not what you would expect with like a very classic 90s song. And it actually got me to dive into his live music set.
The catalog.
Viewing. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it was good.
Love BC. Let's take a quick break. We will round out the hour. Don't forget Max Olson will join us here in just a little bit. We'll talk some college football, obviously Indiana's national championship. But Joey, correct me if I'm wrong here. We have some tickets to give away. Is this correct?
Yes, we do, for the Omaha Supernova.
That is a great idea. They play tonight. If you can go, give us a call, 402-951-1620. The game is at 7 tonight, and they're digital tickets, so we'll transfer them straight to you probably a little bit later on in the morning or afternoon. Be caller number 2.
Oh.
2. We're not going to make Joey work so hard for it. 2. 402-951-1620. If you'd like to go to the Omaha Supernovas game tonight against Columbus, give us a call right now, and we will get you some tickets. We are back after this on 1620 The Zone. Trey Taylor is setting the record straight about how he's going to operate this upcoming fall when he plays for quarterback for the Millard South Patriots. Of course, the 2027 Nebraska football quarterback commit. Has been committed to Nebraska for quite some time and has quite the public persona, I guess. People know him. So he responded this morning to a tweet from Sean Callahan last night, a link to their podcast. Trey says this: the drive from Lincoln to Omaha is less of a drive than I make now from Crystal Lake to Mundelein that I haven't done in the last 3 years, that I have done in the last 3 years. And I'm not driving it in the winter.
Well, there's still winter here. So that
He's not driving it in the winter because for whatever reason, he's enrolling early.
Yeah, so he'll be done.
And so he'll be done in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He might get a little snow, but not much.
We'll need
How cool are you with this now? I mean, this has gotten way better, I think.
Still getting up super
I was never
early to make the drive.
uncool with it.
Are we trying? Are we excited for Trey Taylor to, at some point, wax poetic about? I mean, you can think as a person who has, at one point commuted from Omaha to Lincoln, and we could talk to John Bishop, who's done it every day for the last 10 years or whatever. You could think about a lot during that time. You can listen to a lot during that time.
Yeah.
You can see a lot during that time.
I've made that drive many a time.
I need a Trey Taylor memoir at the end of this thing. Here's what I thought about on my drive.
Do you think I should send him a list of audiobooks that he might enjoy?
I think you should.
Or podcasts?
Harry Potter.
Maybe he'll listen to our show. He can pick it up at the river.
We'll be on at the time he leaves, probably.
Yeah.
Assuming he doesn't have to get there that early.
I'm going to ask him that. I'm going to send him a text and be like, Trey, are you going to listen to our radio show when you're driving?
We're on, and we have a great app.
We do have
You can get us from anywhere, even if the radio signal
That's
doesn't
how my
play. It's
friends
your
in
car.
Lincoln are listening. They're like, hey, we liked the show when it was in Lincoln. How do we listen to it? And we're in our car. And I was like, well, you can use your app.
There's also
Use the
YouTube,
phone. Use your app. Yes, there is YouTube.
which you can use in your car. It's a little less
Easier to
convenient.
probably do the app.
Yeah, it's probably a little easier to do the app. So I look forward to whatever Trey has to say about, I mean, he's probably going to be a little early on this thing. Ideally, he would have been making this drive every day when the new Buc-ee's gets built, but that is not going to happen. I was thinking about new Buc-ee's yesterday, and I felt bad for the new shell that they put out there, like 426.
Just gonna get demolished,
Dude. Because they're right for building it there, because that stretch of road in between Omaha and Lincoln needs gas stations, and they need a big like truck stop type gas station like that. So it's perfect, and it's going to be like business will be booming on Buc-ee's Island. That's for sure. But what's going to happen at the Shell station at exit 432 or 426?
Well, it's gonna.
I don't know.
It's gonna develop its own sense of loyalty of people there. There's gonna people will go to the Shell station because they don't want to support the Buc-ee's, because they're either just going to be the contrarian view of Buc-ee's is no good, or they're going to be like, I don't like these outsiders. So it's sort of funny to back Shell in that regard.
You could declare your gas station as the Shell station.
Look, I don't know how you are, and this has been a challenge for me here in I guess Bennington, where I live. Figuring out what my gas station is.
You got to find one that works for you.
Like the last two places that I lived, I had very specific spots that I would go to for things. Now, some of that becoming like a Sam's Club member and living right next to it sort of changed the calculus a little bit. But now there's one Sam's Club, and I'm not going to drive all the way over there to go get gas. So I've tried out a couple different gas stations in the area that I'm at. I haven't settled on one.
I go so many different places that I probably have like 3 that I use the most.
There's like your primary, but then you also have like ones that are in the areas of which you sometimes need.
I got my driving west gas station, which is I fill up on the way down to Lincoln sometimes. I got my on the way home from work. I got my, I don't really have a downtown. There's no really such thing as a
that
downtown
doesn't surprise
gas
me.
station.
I think you probably are prepared when you're headed.
But this will probably take the case, if I'm going down to Lincoln and I need gas, this will take the place of the Casey's in Gretna.
Yeah, that's the one I use too.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like where
nice.
I don't use the other one that's on there's 3 of them on 204th.
There's a million Casey's on 204th Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I use the one in Gretna is like my that's the
Same.
if I'm getting gas on the way to Lincoln, that's the one that I'm
the one right by that Pepper Jack's right there.
Yeah, it's good. I thought that was like exclusively mine. Apparently not.
No, it's not exclusively yours. It's not
Well,
how
in
gas
terms of
stations-
making it my Lincoln, the going to Lincoln gas station.
That's I guess it's not. Mike Snow writes in on Twitter, says you can listen to the right sounding Friday Night Lights song as the sun sets and tear up like the old times. Not saying that you've ever done this or anything. Sometimes, maybe Trey Taylor will be coming home from school and the sun will be setting. It's wintertime. The football season is over. It's early December. And just for whatever reason, he's looking out the window and the Friday Night Lights song comes on and the moment hits him right and a tear rolls down his face. Like he thinks about his journey, and all those different, and what's
the opening credits Friday Night Lights song, or like specifically just something from Explosions in the Sky?
It's Explosions in the Sky. Yeah. But that's sort of like
just
the
playing their
the
instruments
movie.
really fast and revving it up.
Yeah, that one.
Big fan of that stuff.
Oh, so good. I love Friday Night Lights. And thank you, Michael, for saying not that that's ever happened to anyone that anyone knows before. So that's an important note in this situation.
A lot of mentions of Mike R. Snow this week.
He be tweeting in, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's tweeting into the show. Maybe this time slot works better for him. Although he would tweet the Connor Happer show as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Occasionally. From
I
time
just
to time.
I mentioned him earlier this week. I can't remember why now, but
we're guessing old former co-hosts.
It had something to do with being your former co-host.
Gotcha. All right, we'll be back. Max Olson is going to join us at about 9:15. We'll get to Indiana's national championship and the portal and plenty more, of course, with him. But I have a question for you about Emmett. I have a quick question for you about Emmett Johnson's season last year. What's Connor going to say? Is he going to say it wasn't that good after all? No, I have a question about how it applies to this season in 2026. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Keep in mind, I am not asking this question. J-Man writes in on the YouTube.
Keep in mind, it is not me saying these words.
Exactly. This is important to note. It's coming from a listener. It says, poll question, was EJ good or good in 2025? We are not asking that poll question, and I am not asking that poll question, for the record. But that's not even what we're talking about, to be honest with you. Quick way to go back to the Trey Taylor thing. This is from Masshole Husker. I didn't say that. Somebody else said that on the Twitter feed at Happer and Schaefer. People need to realize that Trey was going to have to transfer from Carmel Catholic in order to enroll early at Nebraska. I didn't realize that. To be honest with you, I didn't follow up on the reporting on this yesterday or why it happened. And to be clear, I'm not mad about it. I think it's it's an interesting this day in college football story paired along with a really hot button issue locally about players transferring and doing all these different things. He just kind of jammed himself into that conversation a little bit. So I think that's why there's landmines everywhere. And that's like that. So I'm mad at the situation that says he wanted to be here to enroll early in the first place. Cause like we talked about earlier, the enrolling early thing, I feel like it's kind of just jump the shark a little bit here, but I mean, I get it from his perspective, I suppose.
It should be noted that part of why, he can't do this, it's difficult with some Catholic school curriculum to be able to graduate early. I've seen that multiple different Nebraska.
Yeah, you would know better than I. This. Yeah.
I just want to say there is a slight difference between needing to transfer and staying in the Chicagoland area and then moving to Lincoln and playing at Millard South. There is a big difference in that regard.
Is it the fact that one of them is 9 hours away?
Well, geographically a big difference, but also moving to the community to then drive to another community is a factor.
But I still feel the same way about it if he goes to Lincoln East. It's still
I'm trying to think. There's a Lincoln West Way or whatever that's in Chicago, and I was like, "Is there a Lincoln East Way?"
No,
is that what you're talking about?
No, I still would feel weird about it. Although it would be less weird because then you're
moving to the state of Nebraska. That is the,
and then it's the Millard South part, and then it's the fact that he's driving from Lincoln or coming up from Lincoln every day to go play football at Millard South for 3 months.
It should also be noted that it's not like you or I are just woefully upset by this.
Correct. Thank you for mentioning that.
Sort of more the realization that this is going to happen more and more, and we'll see sort of how that plays out.
Great question from Debo. What happens when Trey is spotted at a Creighton basketball game next season?
Well, I mean, I would imagine Nebraska plays at Creighton next year. He'll be wearing Nebraska gear while he's there. Nebraska will win,
but he goes to school in Omaha.
Series,
he maybe he'll find the splendors of Omaha and say, "Whoa, I love the energy of this town."
You think he's going to find the splendors over there at Millard South?
We have there's so many gas stations here that
when
could possibly
spending most
go
of his time inside the facilities over there.
Yeah,
there are more gas stations over there.
He'll be like, true. Wow, this is awesome. Look at that big water tower that says Millard on it. Look at that little airport right there. This is great. Maybe I should go downtown and see what's going on.
I'm going to check out Oak Hills.
And then he'll find out about Creighton basketball, and he'll never return.
Oh, he'll return wearing Nebraska stuff as Nebraska beats Creighton again.
Text from the 220 boys in section 220. Trey will be in section 220.
I don't think Trey has confirmed that.
That's what the 220 boys are saying. I don't know. They must know. Okay, I have a question about Emmett Johnson before we get to Max here. How much is Emmett Johnson's season last year a factor in Nebraska not going out and getting a running back, any running back? How much does he complicate the matter? What is the likelihood? So I guess I have several questions.
I like this.
What is the likelihood that Nebraska can replicate what he did last year? And how much does Nebraska think that in, once again, their lack of pursuit for a running back? Do they want to? Is there a case to be actually made that they've always actually preferred it by committee? And maybe that's, Emmett Johnson's season is complicating things from the perspective of, we never really wanted to be a bell cow running back team anyway, but it happened that way last year. And now people have a pressurized expectation for us to have another Emmett Johnson this year, which is something I thought about yesterday.
Any more questions?
I think that'll do it for now.
So there's a lot of different ways to approach this. And I think it sort of starts with where you ended there about the committee approach. I mean, that's what they did for 2 years.
Yep.
Effectively. Some of that because of injury, some of that because of productivity, some of that just because of how things shook out. Some of that because Emmett forced the issue coming from the back both times and kind of emerged at the end of each season to give himself this opportunity. Then you get into, okay, so Emmett really is this kind of guy. And we saw it right away in the Cincinnati game. They gave him a lot of work because there was a difference when he was on the field and the other guys.
Clearly.
And so because of that.
But we all figured, by the way, at that time that it was like, this is a big game and you were in it and like it had to be that way.
Yep.
But then it kept being that way for even the next 2 games against crap opponents.
So it becomes this kind of series of like you're sort of checking this off. Like, did Nebraska like these guys and not play them because Emmett was playing so well that it felt like they didn't need to play them? Is that part of this conversation? Sam McEwen talked about how Nebraska didn't run a lot of plays offensively, which is absolutely true. They grinded clock and they offensively had not short, but didn't have that many possessions because they had long possessions when they had the ball. And so that kept them on the field over those other guys. So that could be a factor into how much they loved them at practice, but we never saw them because they didn't have a reason to put them out onto the field. So all of that adds into it. But then you have the reverse of this, where it's you had a season that was so good with this running back. Is it not an imperative to go out there and get someone better than what you already have?
That is the conventional wisdom. That is the conventional
because
thought.
You have the ability. So this is where,
and that's the way I feel for the record. Like I've wanted Nebraska to get off this whole committee. We'll put any replacement level running back out there and be fine. I have not wanted them to do that forever, and I thought they were going to probably do more of it last year. And then Emmett just ended up being so good.
Committee or not committee, that was never a factor for me. It was more so like, hey, you have an opportunity to improve your running back room. You should absolutely do it because, frankly, your best recruit in this whole time pieced out in Jamarian Parker right away after 1 year.
Deuces.
So, and, whether he ends up being that good of a player is an entirely different conversation. But from a who you recruited and recruited against, that's been the best pull that EJ Barthel has had. So you have this opportunity, and you're also afforded this opportunity because the portal exists, and you can turn around and be like, we got a guy going into the NFL a year early. We can take the money that we spent on Emmett Johnson and add to it. That's the other part of this. Like, they had to pay to keep Emmett Johnson. They're not paying that much for Isaiah Mosey and Mekhi Nelson and Quentin Ives and whatever else. So then that money had to get rolled into something else. Remember how the conversation was, well, if you don't have to pay Dylan, you have all this extra money. And well, you didn't have to pay Emmett either. So you should have some extra money there.
Mm-hmm.
You never put any of that towards running back.
No, they never tried.
So
it doesn't seem like, I guess I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but like, it didn't seem like they tried.
So to bring this all the way back to the first of the 47 questions that you had listed out.
Thank you.
Yes, Emmett Johnson's season complicated all of this because Nebraska, it seems, wants to operate on we like these guys, and everyone else doesn't have enough evidence to understand where that comes from. So then you're having to blindly trust them, except 2 out of the 3 years, they haven't done a very good job or frankly, this is the first time, 2025, where the guy who started the year was also the guy that ended the year, was also unequivocally the best of your running backs. So no one could be like, well, why didn't you play so-and-so more early in the season? So they're asking you to trust them when you don't have a lot of reason to, which is where I come at it. And then on top of it, I also struggle, and maybe it's just a me thing, and Emmett wasn't heavily recruited, but at least you saw it in Big Ten play. You are giving a job to people that don't even have 200 yards rushing in their career.
No, I know. And
at a Power 4 school, when the portal exists, and running back famously is not something that you have to spend a bunch of money on. So then it becomes and this gets into a historically stressful thing for Nebraska fans. Is he better than what we have? Kind of conversation.
Oh, what a comment. What a question.
Then it
Do you think he's better than what we got?
Now we have to trust that you're evaluating the portal well, which there's no real evidence to suggest that when it comes to running backs that you have, because you haven't done it.
No, I mean, Dowdell.
You've chosen. Yeah, and he was fine.
Yeah.
And I think they would have liked to have had him. I don't know if they would have liked to have had him come back from Kentucky or not. I don't know if that door was open. Yeah, it's just it is a weird situation. And to me, it just feels like you're doing your program a disservice by not building off of the Emmett Johnson season.
I just think that, you exclude last year, and this is something that we were saying before the season anyway, before we knew Emmett Johnson was going to break out the way he did. I didn't really like their approach and how they approached the position. I mean, I don't like necessarily the way they think about it and the way it works within a football team and its importance and all those different things. Because I think in college, I think if you have a really good running back, it could be a real game changer for you. And hell, we've seen that in the NFL too.
Yeah.
But there's ways you could survive, obviously, without it. But in college, I think it's even more important. You can make a star out of that guy.
Well, if you're going to be a ball control, Big Ten, play through your defense kind of team, shouldn't you be building through your running back room?
Right.
But they're not. So this is where it's always confusing to me with Matt Rule. It's like you want to be X, but then you don't even know what your offense is. So we aren't entirely sure what you're building through. You continue to collect wide receivers, but not running backs. So but you ran the ball a lot more in 2025. Are you going to be comfortable doing that again in 2026? Right. Like, we have no idea. It's so confusing as to what the goal of what they're trying to do is.
Right.
Because if you're going to play through your defense, did you get enough in the portal to allow you to play through your defense, or do you have to outscore teams? And then did you do enough offensively? Do you have a coordinator that can allow you to outscore teams?
It is trending toward another season where I'm not really sure what their identity is going to be.
Yeah.
At least at the moment, at least on paper, and some of that is because they haven't shown the evidence that they can do that, and some of it is by their personnel. I can't really tell.
Some of it to me is it's not even identity at this point. It's like, what would you say that you're good at?
Yeah.
You're not good at short yardage. You're not good at the red zone.
The question that I always ask,
good at these things.
The question that I always ask coaches is like, how do you want to win a football game? If this game plays out on your terms, how do you want it to go? What's your style? What's your tempo? When you're dictating terms, what does it look like? You better have an answer for that question.
And I would have told you,
and it can't be just like platitudes. We want to play defense, and we want to run the ball, and we want to go for 100 yards in the fourth quarter, and we want to win by 2. It can't be that. Yeah. I'm talking about style.
I would have told you coming into his time at Nebraska, based on what he had done at Temple and what he had done at Baylor, and all of that, it felt like the Matt Rule that I thought Nebraska was getting was going to be a physically tough team that beat you up defensively and just chipped away at you offensively. And you look up and, whether to steal it from basketball or not, a version of casual brutality.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty successful at building that
game in
the
middle 8 or whatever. Like that's what and then you put it away in the fourth quarter. That's what I thought Nebraska was getting.
I thought that they were on track for that in year number 1. And I don't know what track they're on now.
They're on a very different track. They're on an A track.
It's a very, very different path. Hashtag the path at this point. Bill says Rule is like a college student that says he wants to be a doctor and then continues to take history of jazz classes. What do you think about that analogy, Schaefer?
I mean, I never took history of jazz.
History of rock.
I did take history.
Ah, what a class.
It was a great class.
What a class.
The person who sits in this chair in the afternoon hated that class.
Yeah, what a weirdo.
Said it was too hard.
That guy hates music. You put him in a class that's history of podcasts, and he'll love it.
History of book.
History of book. All right, let's take a break. If you guys have any thoughts on that, we'd like to hear it. 402-951-1620. But we will step aside, have a chat with our good friend Max Olson from ESPN coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. We're crafting new bit ideas during the break.
For some of us, it's new. For some of us, it's the same thing repackaged. As they just
So stay tuned.
Really
It
don't
was.
like the special teams happening in Green Bay.
Stay tuned for our new segment next week called "I Hate This." And Joey has already said that his answer every single week is, quote, Richard Bisaccia. So the game's over for Joey.
Yeah. I think we should make them like do a haiku or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Like be creative with it each week.
All right, let's talk college football here, which was the original the original reason that I said I hate this, because Darian Mensah and all these other things. But anyway, Max Olson joins us on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline now. Good morning, Max. How are you?
Good morning, boys. Great to be on with you. As we continue to cover the final days of the portal here, starting to think maybe I should have got a law degree.
Yeah, the business would be booming right now if Max Olson had a law degree.
I think he'd be on the other side of it. I could see Max as a sports agent if he had gotten a law degree.
Ooh,
brokering these deals.
I mean, at the very least, I would at least understand what's going on, so that would be helpful.
Okay, so before we talk about your expertise, which is of course the law and people, being allowed or not allowed to play college football, let's talk about Indiana football and the absurd fact that they won the national championship. We're still sort of wrapping our heads around it. A couple days later, I don't know what's the prevailing thought. What's the thought that comes to your head of whether it's Cignetti or the program as a whole, or what it means for the sport? Like, what in the world happened on Monday night?
Yeah, it's incredible to watch. I just think Indiana is like just one of those one of one, just like ultimate outliers, where you look at what Curt Cignetti and his staff have done there from day one. I mean, they've just been like A+ in so many categories from the moment they got there, and I think there was like no adjustment to go into the Big Ten from the Sun Belt with James Madison, and from the FCS level before that. It was super easy for them. They got all the right players to go with them. All the players that went with them became all Big Ten players and starters and leaders. They've recruited great portal classes. They were left with a pretty empty cupboard after Tom Allen was fired, but got enough out of the guys that were still there. Like they picked the best quarterback out of all of them in the portal. I mean, their strength and conditioning program, their play calling, and their coordinators. It's just, I mean, it's truly incredible. Like you truly just like they checked every box here over the last 2 years, and this year certainly after the experience they had last year against the big opponents and in the playoff, like they were just ready to go mow down everyone. And it's just one of the. It truly is like people will make movies and documentaries and stuff about this because it's just the most impossible thing you've ever seen.
What is it about the alignment of Francisco Mendoza and Curt Cignetti that allowed this to happen? Because Mendoza was good at Cal, but he wasn't this. I mean, I don't know that anyone expected it to quite look the way that it did either.
Yeah, I remember talking to personnel people last November as you were kind of previewing the quarterback market, and it was pretty clear, like well before the portal opened, that everybody was really intrigued by John Mateer, Darian Mensah, and Fernando Mendoza. And you talk to some of the personnel folks, the feeling was like, man, Mendoza might be the difference maker of all these guys. But the Cal film was tough to watch. I mean, I think he led the country, or they were among the national leaders in sacks last season. They really just could not protect him, and he had some good players around him, but they just truly did not put him in a position to be consistently successful, and he'd get banged up and stuff. And so I think that's like the part of it is just like you're taking a really talented player who's like ready to kind of like obviously intellectually like a brilliant dude, and you're putting him in a system where he's protected, where he's got great running backs, he's got great receivers, he's got an excellent play caller. So I think part of it is just putting a guy in an optimal situation. But he's going to go number one for a reason too. I think there's a lot of individual talent there that he brought to the table that you just didn't really see as much because Cal was making that transition into the ACC, and like he played well in some big games last year. But to see him put it all together, it's unbelievable.
If you were a college football coach that wasn't named Curt Cignetti, would you be mad at Curt Cignetti, or would you view it as an opportunity for hope for your program?
Oh yeah, a lot of both. Yeah, I think that especially, certainly in the coaches in year 1, year 2, year 3, or you're looking at this and saying like, man, we're going to study Indiana this offseason and figure out like how the hell did they do this? And I think certainly you look at the approach they took from the roster management standpoint and assembling that team and improving it in the portal. And it truly goes to show you like what is possible in this era. Absolutely. Like I think you can, there's thousands and thousands of players out there. You can go get the right ones for you that are affordable and that bring leadership and bring experience. And I think that there's a lot of things in the blueprint there that people are going to try to copy. You're seeing it right now, obviously, with Penn State and Oklahoma State and Auburn, all these programs hiring coaches that could bring players with them. I think that's obviously a big element here going forward. But I think it does provide hope even if you're at the bottom of a power conference. But to do it this quickly, I think it does mess up like the way that athletic directors look at this stuff and the patience that fan bases have, because you're like, how did freaking Indiana do this and why can't we?
Is there an argument to be made that what Miami did to sort of build themselves is actually more transferable for other people than what Curt Cignetti pulled off at Indiana, just because building around the lines and then having great playmakers?
Sure, but I think there's an element. With Miami, look, Indiana too. I'm not saying that this is exclusive to them, but last couple of years, Miami has spent a ton of money on their roster, and they spent a ton of money on high school recruits, and trying to certainly trying to build the foundation up front with their high school recruiting, and then in the portal go spend whatever it takes to go get the best quarterback on the market. This offseason they had to go fix the secondary and went and got a lot of good players to get that right. I think they've been as aggressive as anybody in the portal in terms of fixing their needs and finding guys that work for them. So yeah, I think there's elements of it, especially at the highest level, when you have a chance to go sign top 10, top 15 recruiting classes. Yeah, there's definitely like Miami did it the more traditional way in terms of stacking quality recruiting classes, complementing it with the portal, and being talented enough to get to this. And that's what we saw, forever in the 4-team playoff era and all that. Like that is what it looks like. That's what it takes. And it took the requisite amount of time to do it. It's just we're in a time where the team that bested them was one that I think everyone would agree had on paper lesser talent by however you want to measure it, but had everything else right.
Max Olson from ESPN is with us. Max, how would you expect this Darian Mensah thing to shake out at this point? I mean, he's already a big topic of interest last offseason when he went into the transfer portal, ended up at Duke, got big money to do so. Reportedly, 2-year on the contract there, tries to get out of it. Apparently, the intended destination here is Miami, and he can enter the transfer portal, but he can't play anywhere else. Like, where are we at on the situation right now, and how would you expect it to play out in the coming days and weeks?
Yeah, I think this is different from Washington, where you had Damon Williams Jr. announce he was going in the portal, and then over like a really crazy 48 hours, they kind of figured out like, well, we maybe can't do that. Like, let's try to mend fences here and kind of try to rewind, and he's going to stay, and we'll work this out. I don't think things are going to get worked out between Darian Mensah and Duke. I don't think either party expects that. Like, Darian Mensah will be playing for Miami next season, and there's just going to be some steps that everybody has to work through to get to that outcome. He was officially entered in the transfer portal last night. So was Duke's star receiver, Cooper Barkate, who ranked second in the ACC in receiving this season. I think he's certainly going to Miami as well. I think those guys will both be going there. And, right now Duke is suing to try to prevent Darian Mensah from enrolling in another school, from earning NIL money at another school. I'd be curious to see if the outcome here that is just kind of most convenient for everyone is that, basically they negotiate a settlement to this where Duke gets paid and compensated for what they've lost here and drops the suit and lets this go. But that might not be the case. That might be maybe they will try to take this to February 2nd and the injunction hearing and try to make this as difficult as possible here over the next couple of weeks for Darian Mensah. But I don't think there's an outcome. I'd be shocked if, it comes out that, never mind, Darian Mensah is going to stay at Duke on a new
Right.
deal and run it back. I do not think that is one of the potential outcomes.
Is it just like a contractual language thing that we can't figure out a way to make these contracts airtight enough to where they can't leave? Or, I mean, obviously we're dealing with two different things: contracts, money, and then also the transfer portal and freedom of player movement and all those different things. Like it doesn't feel like we've met that soft place in the middle where those two can agree with each other.
Yeah, I mean, a part of it is the element of like, okay, is the player re-signed or are they not re-signed? And so I think the stories you're seeing pop up of this player is going to enforce the buyout. It's because the player already re-signed in November or December, and now they're wanting to go in the transfer portal. And so, I think in the DeMond Williams Jr. situation in Washington, they he got representation, and the representation made it very clear to him of like, okay, because of what you signed here, what you just signed here, LSU would have to pay $4 million and lose $4 million off their cap if they bring you in here. And so there were things in the language of that deal that made it very difficult for DeMond Williams to go through with that transfer. And so it depends on how you write it up. And there are, every conferences and every institution are handling that a little bit differently. Certainly schools are trying to put restrictive language in there and trying to, create that requirement that the guy stays. I think that's where you also get into, obviously people want to see the NCAA and the CFC and all them like actually enforce this stuff and support them and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, like, I think part of it is we're going to find out here. Will the schools actually pursue this money and actually, file lawsuits and do what they have to do to try to recoup? Will they win on the buyouts, or is this stuff just going to be kind of like this empty threat we're going to throw out there, and it's just really hard to follow through on? I think that's the phase we're in right now of trying to find out like how real is that a school can get the buyout payment. We're seeing that with Princewell, Emmanuel, too, in going to LSU from Ole Miss. I think the expectation is that buyout is over $500,000, and so will Ole Miss get that payment, or will there be problems there? I think there's a few of these cases out there right now that will be pretty interesting here over the next few weeks.
Is there anyone besides Mensa that is, when we kind of already know he's going to Miami, but who's sort of the best that's left that maybe still needs to land somewhere?
Yeah, Jordan Seaton, the offensive tackle from Colorado, who I think has a chance to be a first-round type of player with a big junior year. That is a pretty intense battle right now between LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Lane Kiffin is doing everything he possibly can to win this one. I think Jordan Seaton can name his price, to be honest. I think that is going to be an unprecedented deal in terms of like non-quarterbacks or certainly for offensive tackles in the portal. You've also got Damon Wilson, the pass rusher from Missouri. I think Miami is trying to get that one done too. And so, if Miami is bringing in Mensa, Seaton, and Damon Wilson, that would be a pretty incredible way to finish things out after losing the national title game. Certainly LSU very, very focused on getting it done with Jordan Seaton, and Oregon and Dan Lanning are not giving up on that one either.
All right, Max, we will let you go. Always something new in the portal. I wish you good luck on whatever you encounter today.
Hey, thanks so much.
Max Olson from ESPN. Good stuff as always.
Literally a choose your own adventure when
Somebody
it comes to covering the portal.
I don't know. I don't know how they get out of these contracts, but there's ways, obviously.
Someone from the CFL is going to reclaim eligibility in college football.
Probably.
We're going to see.
We're probably not that far away from
bringing
that.
in a Saskatchewan Rough Riders quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea.
One thing the NCAA hasn't quite budged on. This is like their hard stopping point. And I guess I appreciate that there is a hard stopping point. It's the eligibility clock. It's the 5-year clock, right?
Yeah.
So you can't bring somebody back from 2012, right?
That we know of.
That we know.
It doesn't mean that we can't find a judge that can slap an injunction down.
That's a good point. But so far that has been the case.
Yeah, no, previously if you had declared that you were going to forego your eligibility, you didn't get it back.
That has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
That has changed a little bit. So
used to be you couldn't be a professional in another country and then come play college sports.
It has also changed quite a bit as well. All right. We'll take a break. We'll get to a couple more of those fun college football stories. College basketball has obviously got one right now with Charles Bediako, and so we'll get to those, and then we'll round out the show when we return on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. By the way, quick check on the bracket matrix as of this morning. All right, so here's the order. Here's the list of teams according to the updated bracket matrix. These are all, let's see, these are all brackets from yesterday too. So we don't have any, actually, we don't have an updated one. So this is as of, yesterday's brackets. I don't know how many bracket releases we have today. Arizona, the consensus, they are consensus 1 seed on every single bracket. Duke, Michigan, Connecticut, and then Nebraska. There's a few who have them as 1 seeds. Let's see if there's anybody who has them as like lower than a 3. A few have them as a 3, and we always like to click on those brackets and make fun of them. There's so many brackets out there that you just don't even know exist. Let's click on the first one that has them as a 1 and give them a shout out. 5-Star Bracketology.
Okay.
Has them as a 1.
Nick Saban hates them.
In the South region, in Oklahoma City in the first round against Colgate. And then if they win, they get either Stanford or Texas A&M. Great times.
I'm trying to think of their high-seeded losses were Xavier, and then I think they lost to, was it Pennsylvania?
When Nebraska was a high seed in the tournament. I know the one was Xavier, obviously.
I always want to say it was Pennsylvania. I don't think it was Princeton. I'm pretty sure they lost to an Ivy League school, though.
That actually sounds right.
This was before my time.
What if Penn got him this year? Fran McCaffrey got the job done.
I just would like to see Nebraska exonerate its demons.
Yes, Nebraska was a 6 in 94 and lost to Penn.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Give them the Ivy League. I saw a bracket that had Nebraska. This was, I think it was 80 Cats, maybe. Had Nebraska as a 1 and Navy as the 16.
Navy?
David Robinson isn't walking through that door.
Our Navy? You'd have to beat our Navy just to win a game in the
Battle
NCAA
of
tournament?
OKC.
Everybody would be saluting. Yeah. You hope Nebraska's going to be probably a 3 or better, like a 3 at the very least at this point. So they'll have an opportunity with 1 game against a mid-major team who's won its conference to exercise all the demons in its program's history.
I love it.
Or do you hate it?
No, I love it.
A game that they'll definitely win.
I feel it's almost whiteboard material where I have Nebraska ball will make the tourney. I forced you to put that up there early in the season. I almost want to put Nebraska ball will be playing in Oklahoma City.
Seems like
really
close to a
don't
lock.
see where else they're going to end up other than St. Louis. And there's enough other teams that can go to St. Louis
That will want to be in St. Louis. Purdue, I think, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a world where you can get both Houston and Nebraska and Oklahoma City. And those are your, they can be in different parts of the draw and still be in OKC. Like, I think we're inching very close to that being like the spot.
Are we also inching closer to the conversation about which region Nebraska wants to be in? We're not talking about first round tournament sites.
No,
we are talking about where the regional round is, which is this Elite 8 and the Sweet 16.
I've had people mention this to me, and I was like, wow, we're thinking really far ahead here. And they're like, it's much easier to get to Chicago than Houston.
Oh, is it? Is that true?
Well,
I mean, it's pretty easy to get to Chicago, but isn't it pretty easy to get to Houston?
I guess if you were driving, it's shorter to get to Chicago than Houston.
Yeah, but are you driving?
I think Chicago is much more navigable than I don't know, that's a word, but
navigatable.
Yeah, something like that.
Navigable.
Easier to get around.
So you got
Chicago,
Houston.
Plus, of course, Chicago is the Midwest Mecca.
Houston is the South. San Jose is the West. Chicago is the Midwest, and DC is the East.
San Jose is the 4 out of 4 of those options.
Yeah, I don't think you want that
because you've probably got to fly into San Francisco, then you got to drive down to San Jose. You might be by the power station, so you could probably tear your Achilles.
That's true, just like George Kittle's.
Right.
Forget.
And so I would put that 4 out of 4. It'd probably be Chicago 1, DC 2, Houston 3.
Chicago 1, DC 2. Interesting. I think most people would take Houston 2 probably.
If you're in Houston, you're going to play the Elite 8 on the same day as the spring game.
In order for that to be in order to get Chicago, though, you'd have to be better than Purdue.
Yeah. which, I mean,
That's the Midwest. That's the Midwest region.
it's a real possibility.
It is. I mean, they currently are ahead of them in the standings.
Houston seems the most likely of the region.
Yes.
It's-
Oklahoma City, Houston, throw it back. Little Big 12.
Yeah.
Little Big 12 action here. Woo.
Man, I really, really, really want this to happen in Oklahoma City.
Bricktown.
Yeah, it would be phenomenal. And the amount of Nebraska fans that would be there.
It would be completely loaded.
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable. So Lenardi,
I already got my hotel rooms in Oklahoma
you're
City.
booked in like several American
Several,
cities, aren't
yes.
you? Yes. I'm not booked at any at the moment. I'll probably be here doing baseball games, to be honest with you.
Baseball.
Lenardi hasn't done a bracket since Tuesday morning. But his last entry, wow, he changed the look of this quite a lot.
Yeah, I kind of actually like it.
Why is it all?
So the red means that they moved down a seed line. Green means
Yeah,
that
but
they
he already
moved up.
had that before with the arrows. What is going on here? He has Nebraska as a 2 in Oklahoma City against UT Martin. Winner gets the winner of SMU or Texas A&M, hilariously enough.
Yeah, A&M is somehow always going to be in Nebraska's life.
Yeah, and then the matchup in the next set of games in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 round would be, let's see, so they're the 2. It would be the 3. The 3 is Iowa State in that region, and then the 1 for the Elite 8 round in the South region would be UConn.
UConn in the South.
Nebraska fans, are you rooting for Creighton to damage UConn's resume as a 1 seed next Saturday for the Pink Out? Come on out. Are you rooting for that?
They are rooting for an answer to cancer.
Are you rooting for Creighton to damage UConn's resume and thus make Nebraska's resume even a little bit more plump with that 21-point win back in December?
They're focused on Illinois.
Oh. I feel like you're hiding something. I feel like you're not saying something.
I'm not hiding anything.
I feel like you're not saying something that you were going to say.
I'm saying what I said.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we hit our bracketology update, we can end the show. Great job, everybody.
It was a great show. Good work by you. Great work by Joey, as always.
We complained. We discussed the topics at hand. We did a whole hour. We did a whole basketball hour. So if you missed anything on Creighton and Nebraska, we had it in the 6:00 hour. Go back on the pods and find that, or rewind on the YouTube. Tomorrow, we will have our regular Friday guest, Jake Sorensen, join us at 9:15. And we will also be joined by Creighton baseball head coach, Mark Kingston, as they're just a couple weeks away from starting the season there. That'll be at 8:30 tomorrow. That is the setup. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.